Welcome back to another episode of Cardboard Hands. We are back again this week with our host, Flex Gods, and a co-host here, a new co-host we're going to be adding to the repertoire. You may remember him from last week, but everybody, I'd like to go ahead and give Retrospecs another welcome here. But Retro is going to be joining us on the podcast as one of our regular co-hosts here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed some of his takes. I know we did. So how you doing today, guys? How we all doing?
Good. I'm chilling.
Same old. Good, man. Excited. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm also happy to be here. You can see I'm wearing my bear hat, though. Everyone can kind of see that. So we will be getting into that eventually here. We kind of got a fun little podcast lined up for the night. We have some things we wanted to talk about specifically, and then I think we're going to talk about some of just your general overall looks at the market. But tonight we are going to be talking about grading and grading companies, specifically CGC, Beckett, and PSA. I know I do want to talk about Beckett a little bit. I know even though they are still using the Pony Express and they only accept handwritten letters when you send your cards to them, I still think there's some great plays in Beckett to be made. And we'll talk about that maybe specifically because of how difficult it is to send with them and people's just love of Beckett. Then I also kind of want to talk about something. We didn't say anything about this before. I want to hear your take on the new set, Astral Radiance. I'm going to get both of your takes on it. I already know, Flex, you haven't even seen it right now. So while we're doing
how'd you know?
Yeah, well, while we're doing this, you can look up whatever little spoilers you want if you want to get some sort of look. But I do want your honest opinion, just a first look at it, because I've actually seen the whole set. I have been to my distributor, I've seen the whole set, and I have opinions. I'd like to hear your guys' on it because it's just right around the corner. And then maybe we're going to talk about a little bit of other TCGs and the future of other TCGs in this new sort of normal, I want to call it, moving into this bearish market that I foresee in the future. So a few spicy topics and maybe just some fun along the way. So thanks for coming in, guys. And let's just go ahead and go right into it. So I did kind of want to talk about liquidity first and foremost in the market, since we are a market channel and we talk a lot about the Pokemon market. And I specifically deal in Pokemon and TCGs, but I know you guys deal in a lot more other things. Like I know, for example, Nick, you're into stocks. You're watching the stock market a lot more because you're more of a finance guy. I'm just a dude in his closet selling Pokemon cards, but you're like this real good finance guru that I know you want to give everyone complete financial advice. And no, this is not financial advice, but that right, just kidding. And then Flex, I know you're into the sports. So what are you guys seeing in the markets? Because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Pokemon is in the dumps right now. It is in the bearish. It's just like bearish as bear can get. There are some performing products that Evolving Skies is rip roaring. UPCs are rip roaring. So before anyone in the comments roasts me saying, "What are you talking about? All my UPCs?" Yeah. I know. Those things are going to the freaking moon, and there's no rocket fuel. They don't even need rocket fuel. They just supply, they go on Dogecoin and Dash Topes. And there's plenty of that floating around this marketplace right now. Plenty of it. So what are you guys seeing? That's why I want to know about the market. What do you, I'm seeing bearishness. The doom.
You
doom
go first, Flex.
Let's see. Yeah, for me, basically where I've been at is I've been selling only sports cards. So I don't have a lot of Pokemon card perspective. I do have some, I think I told you guys this, but I sell like a consign with my local card shop a lot just to like put it like my cards there, get a better price and then get cash. So I mean, stuff has been moving. It does feel a little bit slower on that end. Like I put a first edition Jungle Jolty on there holo, and I was like, this will move right away, and it's still been sitting there. So I don't know if that speaks to it. And then in terms of like sports, I don't know if anyone else knows this, but I make most of my money off sports cards. So sports cards have still been chilling. It's a little bit slower. Sometimes maybe the prices have been a little bit lower, but I'm piecing out this lot right now, and it's like I got in the lot so cheap that basically I can undercut the market on any card that I own, like any card from that lot, and it's like I'm still in the green. So like I already evened out on the lot like forever ago, and I'm in like mega profits, and I still have like 2 5-row boxes. So it's just printing free money for me right now.
Wow.
You know what
okay.
I mean? So that's it was,
What's...
dude, this homie had everything. Like,
okay.
So I traded him a Jordan rookie. Like, I think I got it for like 24. So I traded in like 24 value, like 2400 value. and it had baseball, it had football, it had basketball, and it had like it wasn't like junk stuff either. It was like there was autographs, there was numbered cards, there was rookie cards, there was like rookie colored, there was a lot. So
Okay.
dude.
Okay.
So it's like for me, I guess I don't necessarily think I have the best perspective on liquidity because it's like I'm working on a project where I got in like so cheap that I can undercut the market so hard and it doesn't even affect me. So that's where I'm at. But things sell pretty fast. So
And doesn't liquidity and prices usually kind of dry up in the off season? So like right now for baseball, it might be doing a little bit better, but like basketball and football, since it's like, not really back in full swing, is that how it usually works as far as like sports liquidity goes?
yeah, it does. So what'll happen is honestly basketball is hot right now because it's the playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
Yeah.
the hot
So-
team is going up. You want to sell if you have the players.
Yeah,
from the hot
dude,
team.
I've been listing basketball. Like I've just been staying up listing basketball. So but so I've been doing basketball and then listing baseball because it was preseason a while ago, and that's when things kind of went like this. And it's like lulling a little bit, but when a player gets like hot, like when homie like has a good game, then it'll just do that. So not even in terms of prices, but it does make things a lot more liquid. More people literally just look up that dude. And then I've been chilling on football because football's really slow. So I never realized this because I only did basketball, but being into the three major sports is also, it's like super complementary because you can do like, I can do basketball and baseball now. I'm in basketball playoffs, and then baseball is like in that like beginning season. And then once those end, football is going to start. Like the football draft just started. So then you give it a couple more months and then people were like, oh, it's preseason. Preseason is like the best time to sell sometimes because people have this weird like optimism about a player and they're gonna be like, yo, this homie's gonna do so good. And then so it's like you want to sell preseason and you want to get everything listed. And then just in case too, if someone has a pop-off game like during the season or whatever, and then the middle of the season is really slow. It's not really slow, but it's like slowerish. And then once that playoff hype starts coming, like the main players from those playoff runs is when they start going like that. So
it's almost like playability when it comes down to like TCGs, when it comes down to like decks that are really good and you see cards in Pokemon spike in price, like trainer cards, uncommons go to like $3 that were 50 cents before because they're used in every deck. It's almost like there are certain times that you kind of have to capitalize on certain cards in both sports and TCGs and everything. And it seems like sports more aligns with like, instead of rotation and tournaments, which is what a TCG looks at, you're looking more at like the actual games and like how the teams are doing in real life and like what's going on in the particular like playoff of that year. So that makes more sense. Yeah, I got a bowl up. So most of your plays, it sounds like, have been made in singles, though. You're not necessarily cracking modern packs and then like, taking the cards and great, which I know that's a lot of people in the sports sphere. That is what. Now, I just like with Pokemon, I'm sure that there's a whole big wide world of sports where, some people just do singles and they're great. And other than that, but I would be curious how like the modern sports breaking world is doing right now, because I do know with my bearishness, with me saying it's like in the dumps, my vintage stuff is still selling pretty well, higher than it was before, and at pretty good rates as long as I price it competitively. Like I don't want to price things as competitively as I need to sometimes to move them because I have price memory from 6 months ago, but to be real, like things still sell higher than they did. And I'm just mostly talking about modern pack breaking. So I guess maybe like the singles and stuff, what you're saying is what I'm sort of also seeing in Pokemon is like, yeah, it's still kind of moving, maybe not as quickly as it was, because let's be real, yesterday was the 5th, right? And the 5th was the worst day of the year for stocks. Like a lot of people lost a lot of money yesterday and a lot of asset cuts are down. So Nick, what are you seeing? I'm curious to hear what you're seeing, because going into the stocks, I guess that's probably a good reference, because you may know a little more than both of us do about all that, because I'm personally not invested that except for my 401k. I don't have a lot of stocks that I play in.
Yeah, so I recently made a video kind of titled like how to prepare your card portfolio for like a potential bear market recession type deal. And part of the reason I made that is because if you look at like a lot of these indicators that have to do with like consumer discretionary income, so basically like how much like extra money the average household has, it's actually at like a negative 10% rate right now. So that means that like on an annualized basis, so over the course of a year, people are like theoretically losing 10% of their spendable income. And that's, you know, like that's for like a variety of reasons, but like just everything's going up right now, man. Like gas, groceries, like everything is just so much more expensive. And the Fed's like raising interest rates, and if they raise them like too aggressively too quickly, and it becomes expensive, more expensive for companies to do business, then that leads to like layoffs, right? And then like layoffs obviously lead to like people like not having money to be able to buy stuff. And because Pokemon and TCGs in general are like a younger, poorer, I don't want to say that in like a mean way, but like just people with less money, you know what I mean, type of demographic. I do think that like people are just getting hit with wallet fatigue right now. Like you know, the numbers show that they just don't have as much money to be spending on this kind of stuff. And when, so I especially when like, if you have $100 to spend and you can either go out and buy like a modern booster box and like break that and have fun with your friends versus like buying like one card, you know, a slab for $150 or whatever, like a lot of people might gravitate towards the booster box, right? Because it's like, well, this is all I can afford. And like, if I can only get one card or I can break an entire box with my friends, then like, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? But as people like continue to lose money or just not have as much free money and free time, plus dude, we're headed into summer, right? And the panorama is kind of like over with, fingers crossed on that. But people are going to want to do fun stuff, right? They're going to want to go like hang out with their friends and sit outside and go to restaurants and eat and drink and have fun and see people that they haven't, and do think and go to concerts and do stuff that they haven't been doing for the past few years. And so that's going to affect it too, right? And so I don't necessarily think that means like, oh my God, everything's going to zero. But I do think it means that margins are going to get a lot tighter, and you're going to have to work harder to make the same kind of money in Pokemon or TCGs, CCGs than you would have had to over the past couple of years. Like the days of free tendies are over with, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to be engaged, you're gonna have to be savvy, you're gonna have to be knowledgeable, and you're gonna have to have like good outlets for this kind of stuff, right? You're gonna need to have like a platform like Josh, you know, like selling on Whatnot, whatever the case may be, to make those same kinds of profits and margins. The days of just like everything goes to the moon is over with, in my opinion, you know. So
even with a small platform like mine, I will tell you it's not as easy as it was once before. And so that's something that I'm comfortable saying, just because it's true not just for me, but the bigger platforms, I've seen it as well. I think even engagement on YouTube now, none of us, I mean, we all have like YouTube channels, but we aren't like posting 3 videos a week, 5 videos a week. We're not like pushing it out. But I've seen that those videos, I've just been seeing the views, they're lower than what I'm used to seeing on a lot of those. And you know, it's one of the things that I think as people are getting back and getting back to, we'll call it reality, because we were in reality this whole time. It's just a weird reality, like, but as they're getting back to the more normal of what we were used to before that you know, the last 2 years, I think we're going to see, like you said, a lot less discretionary spending, and people are going to choose to spend their money in other places. And I think that's the reality too. I believe that to be, that's what I'm seeing too. And so that's definitely something that I would say evidence speaks to, and I would be comfortable saying that's probably going to be the future here. That being said, I've been seeing a lot of really good things coming up to market because people are kind of feeling really bearish lately. Like if I'm like one of the biggest Pokemon bulls there are, and I've got a freaking bear hat on here, like I'm feeling bearish about Pokemon, then you can imagine there are some people with cardboard hands who are just wanting to fold real quick. And I got some ridiculous deals lately. Have you guys been able? Are you buying right now, or are you strictly kind of selling? Or are you more in like cautionary right now? Like, what are you guys doing in this environment, in this bearishness?
what are you doing, Flex? You go first.
I'm buying still. I'm buying a lot. I'm buying random stuff though. Let me see.
I had a huge mail day. I had a huge mail day today.
I haven't been buying like super a lot. Watch, I'll go. Let me see my purchases.
It was an uncomfortably large mail day. Let's just say that.
I've been buying too, but I'm buying, like I'm always buying just because like I'm always flipping. But I do agree with you that there's like okay, so for instance, I bought it's the Japanese version. It came out, it's like Duelist Pack 20 or something, but it's the Dark Magician Girl Ghost Rare. and I bought one on Buyee like a month ago for 350. Just sold it for 425, and then I saw one on Buyee, buy it now for 318. So for like already like $45 cheaper than what I bought it at. So dude, like, yeah, especially like Japanese people, because like the yen's crashing or whatever, and people are like, crap, man, I'm doing the same amount of work, but like my currency isn't worth as much. They're like unloading, man. And I've seen all sorts of crazy collections come up. Like there's the one that ends in a few days. And dude, it's every holo and every EX from like the first like 8 sets, like all the way from like WotC through like Diamond and Pearl. It's crazy, dude. And yeah, man, it's nuts. So, and then I've been buying F1. Like I've been going super hard on F1, and part of that's because like I like the demographics of F1. Like sports people in general have more money, and sports tends to do better in a bearish sort of market. But like F1 specifically, the demographic for F1 is like billionaires. Like the types of people that are into F1 are like super, super rich. So, and the cards are short printed. And in comparison to like a basketball or a football, to where you have to watch all these games, you have to be like watching all these rookies. Realistically, there's only 20 spots on the track, right? But and realistically, you're only watching maybe like the top 5 or 10 drivers. So it's just less stuff to keep track of, right? It's easier to know like what to buy. You get that out of 50s of the hot driver. He has a good race. You grade it. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like you're making your money. You know what I mean? So. And that's just been super fun too, to like get into something new and just to kind of like shake it up a little bit. And you can apply like the stuff you learn in sports, you can apply to Pokemon and exploit things in Pokemon, because people aren't thinking the same way people in sports are thinking, and vice versa. You can take stuff that you've learned in Pokemon and TCG, CCG, take that over to sports, and use that sort of information to be successful over there. So, and it just keeps it fun, man. If you're doing the same thing all the time and not really like branching out or whatever, I feel like it's just easier to get a little bit burnt out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean that's actually a really good sort of segue to talk about some other TCGs like we were sort of thinking we wanted to talk about, because in the last 2 years, we've seen, with all this everything going to the moon and rocket ship emojis, a million of these Kickstarter, some successful, some already made it. We're looking at Zoo, we're looking at, Flesh and Blood, which came out not as a Kickstarter, but it came out in 2019, really under the radar sort of, and then really took off during, the last couple of years. And now we're seeing finally the fruition of a lot of these TCGs. I know myself, I'm invested in Sorcery. I actually got in on one Kickstarter TCG called Sorcery, which you'll see on the channel. I'm going to make a video unboxing and doing a whole thing because I think it's a really cool concept. All this stuff, I legitimately think it's a cool idea. I'd like to be in on it. But there are others out there, lots of them. I want to say hundreds of them. And I'm curious what you guys think about the future of that TCG landscape is looking like. Because like now, some of those TCGs where this happened before in the 90s, this exact thing happened when 90s happened, the sports junk wax era, all these new TCGs, all these Marvel cards, all these cards that are now worth a ton of money were then made back then. They were forgotten about. They didn't care. It's like a dead era. They're dead card games essentially, or collectibles or whatever they were. Now they're worth something again in this booming market. What do you think about this new era? Like, say a card game comes, I just like the Kickstarter era, I guess you could call it. It's a little different than it was. These are new companies, whereas before it was all Topps, Panini, like Fleer. It was all these companies that were established that just kind of made a dud product. But I guess it's a little bit different now, though. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
What do you think, Flex?
I think it's junk. I think it's well, not like that. I was gonna say I think it's junk era 2.0. That's how I feel, honestly. At the end of the
So like,
day.
there's no plays to be made. You think people are just gonna be like crying to themselves when their shipments finally arrived, or defaulting on their? Well, in most of the cases they already took payment. So I know that in the case of the Kickstarter I'm involved with, the payment is taken like when the Kickstarter actually starts. So it's like in the beginning. So like anyone who's in on one is already paid probably. So you think they're gonna have a bunch of dead product on their hands?
No, not necessarily. I think short-term plays are definitely valid. I don't think I would never do any long-term plays. You know what I mean? It's like how I deal with these TCGs now is just like you just kind of get them and flip them and then call it a day. that's where I'm at personally. It's like, I mean, the most prominent one is, I don't know if I told the story, but it's the MetaZoo story about like MetaZoo at Collecticon, and they just gave away the packs, and it's like, dude, like they literally, there was a point where those packs, like they were giving you $100 per pack, you know what I mean? Because you could just put them on eBay, and it's like, I have no attachment to MetaZoo, and I don't want to see what happens with MetaZoo, so I don't know. That's where I'm at. So, and it's like, I think it's how I deal with sports cards too, more so, is you just flip the modern and use the money from the modern profits to put it into more goats. So you can, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you don't know what's gonna happen to a player. They're gonna get injured, they could have a bad career, but it's like, if you sell them while they're hot, you're making your money, and then you use that money and you put it into more like a sustainable play. Like you put in an MJ card, or like, you know what I mean? And
so more fundamentals. You're looking to like you're flipping to for fundamentals. So it's a lot of what I hear on SM Pratt's channel about like the older, better minter fundamentals sort of situation, to throw out, you know, that. But I would say that sounds like the play in sports that you're making. So you don't have a lot of confidence in current players per se. So there's no current player you're like, all right, that's not true. You like Stephen Curry.
But he's
Curry?
like,
Stephen
Yeah,
Curry.
Stephen Curry. Yeah,
You're
I'm gonna call you
reported,
out, bro.
dude. Stephen Curry.
caught in
That man,
4K.
Oh my
He ain't
god.
cheap, bro. He ain't cheap at all. I know people like Stephen Curry.
But he's like a goat though. Like he pretty much revolutionized the like 3-point play. So I don't know. Like I think he was kind of a sleeper, and now it's like, okay, like Curry is like overplayed now, but it's also like you can't deny Curry's like impact on a whole generation of basketball. You know what I mean?
That's fair. So it's not just all vintage though. There are a couple modern players that are probably, you would say, that have the fundamentals that are there.
Yeah, but I feel like Curry's almost like semi-vintage, if that makes sense, because his stuff came out in 2009. Like that's almost like,
Yeah, that's true.
like it's like
That's
it's not like
pretty
modern, old. But you know what I mean? And
right,
also,
right. It wasn't booming. Yeah.
One last thing for the Curry thing though is his year is 2009, and his product runs are so low because the hobby was so dead.
Well, yeah.
Like to give you perspective, I think Curry tops, like a LeBron tops when LeBron in 2003, the population is like 10,000 plus. The Currys are in like 2,000 range.
The market was in the dumps in 2009. It was garbage. Like,
yeah, it was
so
right after the financial crisis.
Yeah, recession central.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of like extra little tidbits on top of Curry being like a 3-point goat. You know what I mean?
I often think about that with products. You almost have to have a product. It has to come out in a bad time with where like not a lot of people wanted it, but it's still a good product. And so like it kind of has to have, it can't just be a really good, like I'm looking at you ultra premium collections. It can't just be an amazing product that came out during a time where they or can it? I mean, maybe it can, maybe I will be wrong, and I'll be sitting looking at my $1,000 ultra premium collection just with like shaking my head at it, like wanting to sell it every day, but then just telling myself, no, this stupid thing's gonna go 2,000 now. But like, does a product have to be bad at a certain point or viewed as bad to ever really have that rocket ship emoji? Because look at Evolutions, it was garbage for the longest time. It was garbage, you know.
I think so kind of back to the point on like all the Kickstarter TCGs and stuff. I think a lot of it depends on like how it was started. I mean, like Pokemon was already like a massive IP from the show, the manga, the video games, and all that stuff.
Was it though? Pokemon in the early days, there's a ton of marketing they did. Pokemon was on everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like what Flex was saying about MetaZoo, right? Like people were going to Collecticon to stand in line to get a free $100 pack, but they knew they didn't give a shit. Like, let's say 100 people got those packs. Realistically, how many of those people actually kept those packs? And how many of those people like just went immediately to eBay to like sell it to make $100, right? So like,
but to MetaZoo's point though, but those Kickstarter packs were trashed. Like, and I talked to a couple of the guys when I went to the Leonhardt Pop Shop. The two guys that run the Collecticon, they're two brothers that run Collecticon. I think his name's like Jake and some other one. They're really nice. I was talking to them, sitting there at the bar, having a drink with them, and they told me that the first Collecticon, when MetaZoo was created, when they were giving out the Kickstarter packs, nobody wanted them. They said there were garbage cans full of them. And like even them, those two guys were sitting there like telling me, like, man, I wish I would have known. I just gave my brother I had a stack of them. I gave them to him and he just dumped them in the garbage. He's like, nobody wanted that, and now those are the most valuable things in that hobby and in that particular, so it's like, that's what my point is. Like, does something have to be viewed as trash to really have the rocket ship? Like,
I don't think like Pokemon or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh like were ever necessarily viewed as trash.
oh,
And I
hell
think
yes, they were.
really
Dude.
when they
Hell
first came out
yes.
though, like when they first came out.
Oh no.
That's
like,
that's what I'm saying is like
2000s.
yeah.
That was nobody wanted that.
Yeah.
You
But what
were
I'm
a
saying is
fool.
like as a kid, for instance, and again, like this could just go back to like the demographics part of it too. But like as a kid, when we got Pokemon cards, it wasn't like even if you pull like, dude, I remember literally opening E-Series and I pulled the Aquapolis Suicune Hollow. And like I'm sure even back then that card was probably expensive.
You love that card. That's like one of your favorites.
Yeah.
I know you love that card.
Relative to the time, like I'm sure that card was like somewhat expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I was just stoked because I was like, oh my god, I love Suicune. Like I'm gonna slap this in my binder, And to me, like with MetaZoo, yeah, there's a certain percentage of people that want to play a new game. Yeah, there's a certain percentage of people that want to build out binders, but I feel like a lot of it is just like stonkage. And
dude, I don't buy that. You give a kid a MetaZoo pack, they're gonna love that shit. Give some 10-year-old a MetaZoo pack.
way.
They don't care about if it's Pokemon or not. They don't care about Pokemon. They're gonna be like, yo, you gave me this pack. They're gonna open it and see something shiny and be like, cool. I mean,
so here's
what mentality. They'll get anything that's shiny that I feel like they would feel cool about. It doesn't have to be like this really god tier at like IP. Like we're talking 10-year-old mentality.
Yeah, that's fair, but I feel like
I don't know. I feel like 10-year-olds might be like, this is fake Pokemon though. You know what I mean?
It has to be Fortnite.
Fortnite or Minecraft. Fortnite,
yeah. Oh, dude. I don't know. It's
Warcraft, dude, Fortnite is the only thing anyone wants to talk about these days. It's ridiculous. Like
no. Okay, but here's the other thing is I think that like a lot of these cards are cool. Like I think Sorcery is cool. I think Grand Archive's cool. And like I even like some of the art in MetaZoo. But here's my one of my main issues and why I think it's going to be hard for any one of them to do good, right? And then there's Digimon, Dragon Ball Super, One Piece is coming out. There's the My Hero Academia, and it's like I personally, as a nerd, I'm a fan of all that stuff. But like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna buy every booster box from 12 different things? You know what I mean? It's just like that's not realistic.
You take a mortgage out, right?
Yeah, like your spend is spread so thin across all these different IPs because a lot of nerds are fans of nerdy stuff. Like a lot of people who like Pokemon also like YuGiOh, Final Fantasy, Magic. Like they like a lot of different things. There's probably very few people that aren't eclectic that just like Pokemon and only like Pokemon. You know what I mean? They probably do like Dragon Ball Z and Zelda and all this other stuff. And in sports, there's a lot of people that are crossover and do watch baseball, basketball, football, all that. But there's also a lot of people that are like just baseball fans, just hockey fans, just football fans, just basketball fans. And so the spend isn't spread out as much. And so to me, it's like, even if they come out with these really sick cards, the game might be like super playable. It's like, well, how many games are you going to play, dude? And how many things are you going to collect? Like it's hard, man. Like it just comes down to a money thing and a time thing. If I had infinite time, sure, man. Like I'd be into Super, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic. Like I'd be into all that stuff, dude, because I like all that stuff. I don't have time and I don't have the money to be like buying 25 different booster boxes a month from like all my favorite IPs. That's just not realistic. You know what I mean?
Do you feel bullish on the future of those IPs as maybe those individuals grow and mature into their spending, into more of their, they get the money to spend on? Because I think that's always been the argument on channels like Pokenomics. I see Jake making where he's like, yeah, don't go out and FOMO. He's like, the fundamentals for him, though, he says, are there because like he thinks in the long term that people will just kind of gain and continue to love it. And I tend to agree with that. That tends to be sort of what I feel about things. I mean, I guess like Pokemon, and for me, Magic the Gathering is another one. But as far as like how I feel about the other TCGs, I don't feel as strongly about them, because even though I do agree that I think the fundamentals and like nerds like that kind of stuff, I just think some of the TCGs are going to lack the I mean, and maybe this is me coming from it as like a TCG player. Like I have first and foremost, I played Pokemon before I collected when I was a kid. Like I didn't care the holographics. I cared about the cards as they played. I did trader cards, you know? And so I played Pokemon. Then I started playing Magic. And so I started collecting later on in life. So I always look at things a little bit differently because of that, I think. And so like for me, a lot of these TCGs are just bad games. They're just bad games, weak, and it feels like they're just kind of capitalizing on that like woo rocket ship, which is fine, you know, for a lot of things. Like, people will say, oh well, nobody plays Pokemon. That's not true. People play Pokemon.
So
People play Pokemon, but
here's the thing about MetaZoo too, is like MetaZoo came out at the literal perfect time when everything else was screaming to the moon. The entire thing was like scalpers, stonkers, no one can get any product, no one can afford it. And then here comes MetaZoo. Like take our product, you know what I mean?
So, their Kickstarter didn't actually finish. Did you realize they didn't get their
yeah.
So that kind of goes back to my point of something having to be kind of fail before it can succeed. I feel like maybe. So like that is one of the situations where even though it did come out during that, people weren't looking at it like that. Like I remember having the opportunity to buy $250 Kickstarter boosters boxes, whole boxes when it was still there. People were talking about it. I think I want to shout out Pokenav. I think Pokenav was talking about it at the time. Literally, he was shilling the 250 Kickstarter, I believe. I could be wrong. So like everyone likes to give him a hard time for being wrong about everything. He was actually, I guess, right about that if he did. But anyway, that's not the point. Shout out Pokenav if you're watching. Like, come out of hiding, come on my channel, let's talk. Everyone likes to put a target on you right now. I would love to say, what's up, buddy? But anyway,
I like Pokenav.
I mean, I didn't agree with a lot of what he's saying, but I thought it was, I don't think he deserves all the hate he gets. You know what I mean? He's just a dude, you know, making content just like a lot of us are. But yeah, anyway, I think that MetaZoo in particular is a really interesting case study. And I think that it's going to be one of the few that I hate. And I know a lot of people are going to hate to hear me say this, but I think it may actually come out of it because of like all of the controversy surrounding it. Like in a certain regard, like when you see people talking about something, so like people who have nothing to do with it, like people are not invested at all, are really invested in the MetaZoo. They have an opinion on it. They may not have an opinion on a lot of these other TCGs, you know? They don't care about the My Hero. They may watch My Hero Academia. It's a great anime. They may even watch it every single, you know, week it comes out, but they don't care about the TCG. They know about MetaZoo. So because of the controversy around it and everything, I do think that if there's going to be one that makes it probably, much to a lot of people's dismay, even though it's funny, it shouldn't, you know, yank people's chain too bad, but I think it might, just based on what I've kind of seen. But yeah, a lot of them are just bad, I think, though. And I think that the bad ones, the IP might drag them along for a little while, but I don't know if the IP is enough to save like a card game. Like Magic is a good card game. Like it goes through its rough spots, but the reason it's stood the test of time is it doesn't need an IP. It doesn't need, it's a strong independent game. It doesn't need no IP to take care of it. That's what I mean. Like it can take care of itself. And then like Pokemon was in the dumps for a long time, but people still played it. There were tournaments. Like the only people who were into Pokemon were the players. Literally the only people. So like people like Echo Base and, you know, the people who were playing in the Nintendo Diamond Pearl, the Dead era, when people like me were playing Magic the Gathering, the superior game, there were still people playing Pokemon, you know, and I dare say people still play Yu-Gi-Oh too. So, you know, I won't speak to Yu-Gi-Oh though, because people know my beliefs on that. But I don't know. I think that some of the fundamentals of a game, specifically when we're talking about a game, hey, look, yeah, see, you like Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh's a thing. Like, I may not like Yu-Gi-Oh, but that's going to hold me back more than it's ever going to help me. And I realize that too. Like, that's like someone who's like against the MetaZoo thing and doesn't want to get on it, who could potentially do well on it. I guess, I don't know.
That's me.
I think a lot of our beliefs hold us back sometimes with certain things. And
part of it too is like, if you spread, like, especially if you're trying to like speculate or make money or make plays or flips or whatever, like, at least in my personal experience, I like a lot of this different stuff, but I find I do a lot better when I'm more hyper focused. Like when I pick 2 or 3 things I'm going to focus on. And so like right now for me, that's like Bandai, Pokemon, and F1, and that's it. And it's like, I'm sure there's tons of Yu-Gi-Oh plays out there to be made. I'm sure there's tons of Dragon Ball Super and Weiss Schwartz, like I got a buddy, and it's just like crushing it in Weiss, bro. Just like buying cards, sending them to CGC, just like printing money.
So is CGC the play for Weiss then? Is that what I've heard several people say that?
Well, so from what he's told me, and this is kind of funny because like in general, like people, know that Japanese cards are like higher quality than English cards, but he actually just did a video and he's been talking to me that like Japanese cards are cut from the front and the English Weiss cards are cut from the back. So the English Weiss is actually better condition than the Japanese and has a higher gem rate. CGC has like cheaper grading, quick turnaround time. And if you can hit 10s, and because like Weiss cards are like pretty high quality card stock, it's easier to hit those like 9.5s and 10s. You can buy cards for like $15, send them for 15, and then turn around and sell them for like 1 to 150. So the margins are really good. You just have to be knowledgeable, and there's not a whole lot of Weiss graded in general. Like there's just not a lot of it graded. So he's doing really well in that. But again, like, and I like a lot of anime, so like Weiss is like interesting to me, but it's like I just don't have time. Like I feel like I do better as a flipper, as a speculator, when I'm more focused on 2 or 3 things and not just trying to do like everything at once. I like learning. Like I watched, I listened to a lot of like the MTG finance guys, and I listened to some Magic stuff for a while. I'm not super into Magic, but I wanted to learn the market to see like, okay, well, what can I apply from like the Magic market that I can maybe take into something that I am doing. So I like to learn about all these different markets. But again, just like personally, I feel like I do better when I'm focused. I like to be, I don't want to be like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Riches are in the niches, right? That's something you hear a lot. Shout out to Pat Flynn. He may actually watch this sometime. I hear he watches a lot of these podcasts. He says he does. So if he does, that'd be awesome to see him on the channel sometime. But yeah, for sure. Like I agree. I think that there are still plays to be made, and I think it's just about being selective, kind of like you said, and it is going to be depending on like the time too, because like just yesterday, that was a bad day, but I think next month maybe things recover. People are feeling different. It's all about market sentiment, right? Like I'm sitting here feeling bearish, but just 2-3 weeks ago I was feeling a little bit more bullish on things. So I don't think it's just like one thing. I think it's a lot of things that kind of combine. So it's an interesting topic too, for sure. I did kind of want to talk to you guys though about the new set though. So I don't know if you wanted to transition, if you had any last thoughts to make on that particular topic, but I did kind of want to talk about the new set coming out though, because I'll be getting my allocations for this new set probably at the end of the month, because I think it comes out at the beginning of next month. And I already have my opinion of it because I've seen the whole thing. Like I saw one of the ETBs, apparently my distributor already had stuff shipped to him, and so he damaged a pallet. He and his son opened up an ETB in a booster box, and I saw the ETB booklet with all the secret rares and all the stuff. And yeah, so I saw the whole set, but I'm curious, have you guys seen anything about it? Do you know about the Radiant Pokemon that are coming out in it, or what they are?
I just looked it up. I literally just looked it up like 2 seconds ago. So I haven't.
Me too. Are you on like the Justin Basil or whatever?
Exactly.
Yeah, looking at the set list.
Okay, so for those who are just tuning in and listening and aren't like watching, basically Astral Radiance, and this is what you guys are going to be seeing on your screen right now. Because Astral Radiance is a new set that's coming out that's going to focus on the Hisuian versions of the Pokemon. So there's going to be a lot of like Arceus Legends stuff, like Hisuian Zoroark. There's gonna be like the new Typhlosion, the new Halucha, the new all the new stuff, the new Pokemon that are in it from the new region. I thought that this set was going to have, so it does have the character rare subset, but I thought it was going to have 2 things in it that it is not. We know that it's going to have the Radiant Pokemon, which everyone knew that was going to be in it because the Radiant Greninja and Heatran and whatever the other one is in it, that those are already all leaked. So we knew that was going to be in it. But what I didn't know was which trainer gallery they would use. And so I was told that, well, I was under the impression that this set would either have Charizard or Pikachu, one of those 2 trainer gallery cards, because there's a Pikachu V and a VMAX from the secret rares in VMAX Climax, and there's also the Charizard, Lance's Charizard, just a regular V card, which that wouldn't be that great, but that's something, it's a Charizard in the set. As it stands, neither of those are anything.
Oh, really?
And we're not getting
Oh.
the gold cards either. As far as I could see, I didn't see the gold cards, and I could be wrong about that
Huh.
because I flipped through the book and I thought I was looking for the gold cards, but
Mhm.
you would think you would get the Shadow Rider and the Ice Rider gold Calyrex in it too, as the trainer gallery.
Oh, the Mew gold is so sick. So is the Pika
Okay.
gold, honestly.
Yeah, the
Now that
Mew
I'm
and the
looking-
Pika and
Yeah,
the
and the
Rayquaza.
Rayquaza. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, the
We didn't
Rayquaza's
get any
fire.
of those. We got none of them.
Are you serious? Okay, so this site's wrong then, because this site is showing the Pikachu, so the character
Yeah.
rare Pikachu V and the V Max, and it shows
and it has the Charizard.
Yeah,
In
Leon's
VMAX
Charizard.
Climax?
No, in Astral Radiance. But a lot of these
Oh.
are just okay, so this site's probably wrong then.
Is there a set
Speculating.
list, like an official set list out right now? or
No, there's not. So that's the thing. I looked, I saw in the book, and like from the official book, there's not the Charizard and there's not the Pikachu. And it's
Okay.
concerning. The best card I could see in it was the Misty, the Garchomp. So the Misty with the
Those are
Starmie, which
fire, yeah.
I love that, but I don't think it's enough to carry the set. And then there's the
Yeah.
Garchomp with the Cynthia that's pretty cool. And there's a bunch of character rares. They're like the Shadow Rider Calyrex character rares, and like just stuff that I don't think people are gonna care about. I honestly think this is gonna be a flop, this set.
I like the Machamp.
Yeah, the Machamp's in it. The Beedrill.
The Machamp's cool, but like I don't know like if Machamp is anybody's favorite Pokemon. It's a cool art, like it's sick, but it's just like
Like I collect
Yeah.
Machamp, I collect the base set Machamp, just one of
Okay.
every variant of it. But because there's so many variants of that base set Machamp, whether it's like Shadowless, First Edition, Unlimited, 99 2000, Thick Stamp, Thin Stamp, Trainer Deck A, Trainer Deck B, like there's so many of that particular Cosmos, the Cosmos foil Machamp, like that one card is so varied that that's why I like it. But yeah, as far as Machamp collectors out there, I don't think the Machamp's going to carry the set. So
Yeah.
that set, if it's saying the site is saying the Pikachu and the Charizard are in it, it's wrong. It's not.
Okay. Is the Rayquaza in it?
Mhm.
Ooh.
There's nothing in the set.
Dang.
Like literally,
Okay.
I was looking through the book and I was like, "Is this it?" And my distributor was like, "Yeah. What are people going to be chasing?" He doesn't know. He's a boomer. He just knows Charizard, right? He knows Charizard and Pikachu, and he's like, "What are people going to want in this set?" He was asking me. I was like, looking through, I was like, "I don't know."
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like Brilliant Stars. And that's why like sometimes I don't want to say frustrated, but I just feel like people are drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, thinking that like all this modern stuff's going to the moon. Because you have to understand too that like before the boom, there was only like a certain amount of sets. I don't know, like let's say there was 25 or 30 sets, right? But like just in the past year, Pokemon's printed like 5 more sets, and they're gonna like continue to print like that many sets every year. And there's been Evolving Skies, Brilliant Stars, right? Like which were 2 bangers.
Some would say Vivid Voltage. Some might say
Vivid Voltage. And so to me, it's like this idea that like any one set is when they have incentive to continue to print cool stuff, there's going to be duds here and there, right? Like Astral Radiance might be a dud, Chilling Reign, Battle Styles might have been duds, but like Pokemon is going to continue to print fire modern sets. So to me, it's like 3 years from now, when we've had 3 years of like some duds, but like some super fire sets, and then all the collector sets too, right? Like the specialty sets, like the Shining Fates type stuff, the Pokemon Go is kind of looking like.
We got to talk about Pokemon Go after this.
Okay, so after like 3 years of Pokemon printing those kinds of products, to me, it's like, what is going to make somebody say, you know what I want to do? Go open Chilling Reign for $200 a box. Like, who's going to want, like, if you're going to pay, you know what I mean? Like, why are you going to pay a premium to go back 3 years to open a box that was printed to oblivion when there's been 3 years of fire product that's come out? You know, like, I don't see it. And
they're going to go back and play Sword and Shield, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then the DLC. They're going to play that, and they're going to have to open Chilling Reign to get alternate Galarian birds, bro. They're going to have them. Literally, there's going to be the newest, there's going to be 12, Pokemon Generation 12, but they got to go back to Sword and Shield, the DLC, and get those Chilling Reign birds, dude.
Yeah, I don't think people, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like like I heard I only watched like the first half of the stream. I'll have to finish it after this, but I watched the first part of like the Pokenomics stream with like Nostalgia and Swami, and he was talking about like, oh, I've been buying these like Zamazenta and Zacian gold cards or whatever, and he's like, you know, like they're legendaries, and I think people are gonna care about them, and they might, but to me, it's like, who is out here talking about Zacian and Zamazenta like, oh my god, I love these Pokemon? Like, no one cares.
The competitive players are the only people who know what those are.
Yeah, and to me, it's kind of like, you know, when you go to your favorite band's concert and they have a new album out and they're constantly playing songs from the new album, you're like, bro, can you please just play your old songs? That's how I feel about modern Pokemon. Is like everybody still wants the Charizard, everybody still wants the Pikachu, but then modern Pokemon is playing their new album. They're like, oh yeah, check out like these new Pokemon. Like, yeah, don't you want like a Gradient Altart? Don't you want a Galar? It's like, no one wants that, bro. Like, make me a Blastoise Altart. No one cares about Zacian and Zamazenta. Oh, they're mythical. Like, no one cares about that. You know what I mean? Like, people still want the first like 1 through 4 gens, arguably. And not to say that no one likes Zacian or Zamazenta, but that's just how it feels to me. It just feels like you're at a concert with your favorite band and you're like, bro, I want you to play your old album. Like, I'm tired of hearing this new garbage that you guys just came out with, you know? And I don't know. That's just my personal take. That might be a little spicy, but that's just how I feel. So
The spice is good. We need some spice. We like spice. No, but I do tend to think that there will be some sets that don't do as well as others. I don't think that you could just Rudy it and buy $1 million of Chilling Reign and just, you know, YOLO and do okay with it. It might. I could be wrong. You know, there's that gold Snorlax in Chilling Reign. So maybe it's, and it has nothing to do with I'm not talking about Chilling Reign. We're picking on that set, but I think it's a fine set. But at the same time, like, I don't think everything is going to be a good play. Like, just because it was in the past when, you know, before this boom, everything did go up. I don't think that now we're still in those days. So yeah, that being said, though, I do want to talk about the new Pokemon Go set, because I actually think the Pokemon Go set has a lot more potential than people are willing to say, not just for Pokemon Go, but for actually the TCG, for like integrating that VR and like the cards with the virtual, with like the app again. And it's not that I think that Pokemon Go is a particularly like unique and groundbreaking game, but it was in 2016. It was very groundbreaking, and I do think that there still could be plays to be made within the app if they were to play around with their AR, their virtual reality. If they ever actually delivered what they offered in the original trailer of Pokemon Go, where you could like look through your phone and be in the Pokemon world. Because right now what it just feels like is you have your phone, you just kind of throw a curveball, you catch whatever's near you, and then you put it away. But I do feel like Pokemon Go could have more resurgence in the future. And this new card game, the new Pokemon Go set, is actually going to have code cards you can scan in to get Pokemon Go benefits, whether that's going to be like a raid pass or like a shiny Pokemon appears next to you and you can catch it, or like I don't know, whatever else. Like
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Like, that's next level. I think that's the kind of thing that could really like bring a lot of people in from the Pokemon Go who weren't in it into the TCG, who want to just get those bonuses, and then they'll drag them into the TCG too, because it's like a like-minded IP. But I personally am very excited about that set, even with the weird CG art that we're seeing in it. It's got some interesting artwork, that's for sure.
I kind of like the art now that I'm looking at it.
It's cool. Like, it's more like, it's very much so nostalgic to like the phone. But here's the thing, like, is it gonna age well? It's like I look at Team Aqua, Team Magma, those like some CGI arts that were like put out back then. And I'm like, those didn't really age that well. It looks like computer graphics, but like I do think that there are some of the arts that they look pretty good. Like, and we still haven't seen all. We're gonna get a Radiant Charizard, a Radiant Venusaur, and a Radiant Blastoise. So shiny versions of Venusaur and Blastoise, which Venusaur's never had a shiny version. I don't know if you've ever known that, but there's never been a shiny Venusaur in the TCG.
What about that, like that it's like a promo,
the dark
Venusaur? Yeah,
it's not shiny. I've speculated. I have oftentimes on my channel be like, this looks shiny. It's not. It's the way that the light is hitting it. It's just a weird artist rendition of that Pokemon. But it's there's never been an actual shiny. So Venusaur collectors, that's big for Venusaur collectors. And to my knowledge, there's only been one shiny Blastoise. Only one.
Okay.
The plasma one.
Yeah, and that one's sick. That's one of my, I like that one.
So dope.
I'm
I
not
love
gonna lie. Now that I'm looking at this Pokemon Go set, I actually think this is gonna blow Astral Radiance out of the water.
Oh,
This
big time.
is
Yeah.
this is pretty cool, man. Like especially like this Snorlax and this Gyarados, even the regular Mewtwo V. Like that's a cool art for sure. And I like
the full art Mewtwo.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is that's
I
like
like
Charizard. That's like slam dunk.
Yeah, I like that like you said it has the utility too, because I know a lot of people that play Pokemon Go that like are super into it, like play it on their break at work or whatever, and like wake up and then they're just like, okay, like every time I get coffee, I'm in line at the coffee stand or whatever, like let me see if there's Pokemon around here, let me spin this Pokestop, or
They're throwing
and
a
I think
lure
that
up or they're battling or something. Yeah, people are into it, man.
yeah. And
Definitely.
I think it could bring people like it could bring like TCG people into Pokemon Go, and it could also bring Pokemon Go people into TCG, because the other thing is like people severely underestimate like shiny hunting. So if you can really like pull some cards or get code cards that allow you to like get shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Go, that's going to be a huge draw. That's going to be a huge moneymaker for people, because people love shiny hunting. So
have you seen the
yeah,
Radiant
that could be
Eevee
cool.
box? Have you seen that box that they've displayed of Radiant Eevee? Okay, so one of the premium collection boxes for the Pokemon Go is a Radiant Eevee box, and it has like I think it has 8 to 10 booster packs, and then you have a shiny Eevee, a Radiant shiny Eevee card. It's beautiful. I love the Eevee. It's in like crystals in the background. It's silver. It's gorgeous. Eevee is my favorite Pokemon, and it's my favorite shiny. Like it is my favorite shiny Pokemon. It's this silver, beautiful gold. Like I love it. So anyway, the Radiant Eevee box is rumored that when you get that box, you get a shiny Eevee in Pokemon Go, and that's so cool. Like you scan the code and get a shiny Eevee. Like that is the
Whoa.
coolest thing. Like I feel like shiny Eevee is so appealing. Like, and imagine if that Eevee has like a special hat or a special like costume, because it's like the Radiant Eevee you get from the box that makes it different from the Eevees that you find in the wild. All the Pokemon Go players will need that. Not just TCG.
It looks like this comes with a playmat too.
It does. It comes with a playmat.
That's kind of crazy, man.
Yeah, so I'm very much so looking forward to all of the products, and also the gym boxes or the team leader boxes from Pokemon Go. The yellow, red, and blue. The Mystic. Was it? People are gonna roast me. It's Mystic, Valor, and Instinct. They have the pins, and so the pins that they come with are the pins for the teams. Are you kidding me? You don't even have to like the actual cards. Those Pokemon Go players are going to buy the boxes just to get their pins to be able to put their badges on their backpacks or their lanyards or, you know, whatever, to wear their team badge around, because those are legit Pokemon Company team badges, which they've never brought out before. So that's such a cool concept. Like that's a good idea. And then you get the full art trainers in those boxes too. Like this set is going to be a slam dunk. Like I don't care what anyone says about it. It's a slam dunk set.
This is kind of crazy. I'm looking. So that box, the Radiant Eevee box, it's actually up. It's purchase limit of 4, which is pretty good.
Yeah, on the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, and it comes with so it comes with the Eevee promo card, the playmat, the Eevee pin, and 8 booster packs, and that code card that, like you said, supposedly allows you to get the Radiant Eevee in. So, and for $50, like that's.
And the pin is banging, dude. The shiny.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. That seems like a good deal for $50. I mean, I'd rather buy that than like an ETB. And the playmat, including the playmat, is like that's a smart move.
Yeah, like
exactly. That's like
it's exactly, a shiny,
yeah,
like shiny Eevee. Do I even have to say anything else? Like, it's such a so to me that is going to be like one of the better products from Pokemon Go, and I will be buying as much of that product as I possibly can, and I probably won't be selling it right away. Usually that's what happens. Like people will want to demonize me for it, but like if I think a product is really, really good and I think it's underpriced on release, I won't sell it. I just don't sell it. It happened with UPCs. It happened with the Eevee boxes. Like I'll sell some at like market price just to kind of recoup some costs, but usually I won't sell those types of things if I'm confident. And that's an item I have a feeling I'm just going to stash probably gonna be stashing that one in my closet because I really like that item. So
Do you have any information on which of these products is going to be like Pokemon Center exclusive, what you're going to be able to get from your distributor, what is going to be like Walmart, Target, like do you know which types of products are going to be where yet at all, or no?
So there will be 7 different products that my distribution is getting. So I'm getting pretty much all the products that come out. There is a Pokemon Center exclusive ETB that distribution never gets. And then there's probably going to be like 1 or 2 items that they haven't quite fully fleshed out that they might leak out. They may release that I don't get either. Like, for example, my distribution doesn't get the milk cartons for whatever reason. Whatever, the Marnie milk carton, the Juniper, like they just don't even get invoiced. They don't even get an option to buy that for whatever reason. So some distributions have different limitations, I believe. So at least from my experience, that's been the case. So I don't know who's going to get what, but I do know that there's going to be 7 that I'll be able to buy in such large quantities that my distributor told me not to worry about putting pre-orders in. That he was getting such a large amount of it all on the first wave. Oh, that's another thing that we should probably mention. I talked about this in my my last interview with the Nostalgianomics, but the new modern print runs are going back to the original, the way that they were before the pandemic. We're moving away from waves. There are not going to be waves, at least in the near future. We're getting all of Astral Radiance on one dump. There's not a second or a third wave of Astral Radiance coming out. That will be reprinted eventually. If the demand is there, that means they can, but that will mean that they have to actually reprint it. It's not just more product coming. So that is a change that is, I don't know if that's because of the printing capabilities have changed, or because of now demand has shifted a little bit and they're able to catch up, or maybe they're just sort of, they're anticipating now the pandemic being over. We could say the word, it's an hour in here, but they're anticipating it being over, and maybe they're thinking they can go back to the old way. But yeah, we're getting all of it at once, and it's a massive amount of product.
Is that for all sets moving forward, or just Astral Radiance?
Astral and Pokemon both are coming out. As far as I know, for sure for Astral, like he's already gotten it. But for Pokemon, he also has only gotten 1. He's gotten information. He's getting the 1 shipment when it first comes out. Except for there are products that come out like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the actual initial release. But that's a different situation. That's just release date is different. That's all.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting, man. I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know, because it's like, if they're printing 3 waves worth of product in 1 wave, then that's one thing. But if they're also printing less and they're like, this is it, then like, obviously like that could drum up a lot of demand, especially if stuff's like selling out instantly.
It's easier to gauge the market. It's certainly easier to gauge when you get it all at once.
And what's interesting too, that I just thought about the Pokemon Go set is like, even though like, yeah, the app could be better, the game could be better, like Pokemon Go is best played like out and about, like moving around. And like, as we're moving into summer, that's when that set's dropping. So that's kind of like a perfect timing, you know what I mean? Because like people might be like out doing stuff, going to the movies with their friends, like before they go into the movie, like, yo, let's hit the Pokestop, let's see if I can catch some stuff, you know what I mean? So like, that's actually a smart move on Pokemon's part to kind of like be pumping that right at the time that like more people might be like out and about doing stuff, you know what I mean? And connecting with people too, because like you can trade, you can battle, you can do all that kind of stuff. So that could be huge, man. Like that might be some stonks. I'm not gonna lie. That might be a stonker product for sure.
People are bearish on it though. Have you heard people saying one thing or the other? Because I hear people being really negative on Pokemon Go. Some people are like excited, but like I hear a lot of bearishness on it. I just don't feel that way though. I definitely feel strongly about it.
No, I think it's cool. I heard PK say that he didn't like really care for some of the CGI art, and I feel that like CGI could be hit or miss or whatever, but I think it's cool, man. I do, like just looking at like what they have released so far for arts, like it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. We'll see what happens. So
I think this is a good time to move over to a portion of the podcast where we show some of our favorite pickups here. So I want to ask you if you've picked anything crazy up, because we haven't talked about this yet, Flex, but have you gotten anything in the last 2 weeks that you've gotten any PSA returns back, or have you picked up any crazy steals in the last bearishness, because I've certainly got a couple of things I'm gonna bring out here. I'm pretty excited about.
Oh, sheesh. Is that sealed?
Yeah, you guys seen one of these before?
Damn.
That's pretty
Okay.
dope, honestly.
That is.
So I haven't held one of these things since I was probably like 12 years old, like straight
That's
up.
crazy.
Like this is the starter gift box. It's not the Thunderstorm one. So this one comes with one booster pack, a jungle booster pack, and it comes with a Machamp deck with the 2 starter decks for 2 people to start playing the game. It comes with a special coin. I think it's a Chansey coin. And then the Chansey one that you see all over. I think it's that coin, that the old one. And then it comes with a playmat and a jungle starter deck. So like one of the jungle decks, theme decks. So it's a cool product. It's still sealed and it's got a great display. I'm actually thinking of getting like a glass case made for like an acrylic case, so I can actually display it. I got it for a steal, bro. It was ridiculous. People are dumping.
Yeah.
Showing pickups. Let me go snag some stuff. I'll be right back. You go
so if you
first.
picked anything crazy up?
Dude, I picked up anything crazy. I picked up Star Wars cards.
What Star Wars cards?
It's like a lightsaber hilt thing. Let me see. I don't have it on me. I literally ordered it like 2 days ago.
Oh, nice. So it's a recent purchase. Yeah.
I haven't gotten anything. I mean, I picked up random stuff.
I've been buying
set Charizard, which is
nice. What, like, how good, like, would you consider it?
It's like a 7 or a 6. It's like, I don't know. I'm just kind of playing the grading game where it's like if I think it'll get like a 7, then it's like you make like $100. You know what I mean? And
did you hear CGC's grading Topps cards now?
Yeah.
You think I'm a fool for liking Topps?
No.
Do you think there's any plays to be made? Because I've been buying Topps like crazy. These are all foil Topps cards here.
I think it's a play, honestly. I mean, everything's a play if you get in cheap enough. You know what I mean?
These are all the Mewtwo ones.
Dude, I think it's a play.
So let me show you this. I was excited about. So I got this on YuGiOh.
What the hell?
Dude, yeah. So it's a Dunlop, which is like a really famous golf brand. It's a Pokemon Center Dunlop exclusive.
That's
I'm
cool.
I'm gonna take these out. Can you?
Oh, those are sick. Are you kidding me? They have the Pokemon on
Yeah.
it? What?
Yeah, hold on.
If you like golf and Pokemon, that is a must own. That's
like,
so
come on, dog. Come on, man.
Dude.
Hold on. Little Togepi.
Yo, Pokemon has always been such good branded product. That's one thing that
man.
So good at.
These are sick. I got, like I said, this must have been, I don't know if it says the year on it. I don't know, but this is like pretty old. And like I said, I got this, the box is it's not sealed, but like all the balls are in perfect condition and everything. It's like $25 on YuGiOh. Obviously it's not the most liquid product in the world, but I feel like somebody's gonna pay like $75 for that.
I wouldn't even sell that. I would just throw it on my shelf because that's cool as shit. That would be.
I know. I have
a hard time.
I need a real like PokeTuber background. So I bought that. I bought that case of Ghosts from the past. Hopefully I get some ghost stories out of that. And then I've been picking up. Let me see. Like I've been picking up a lot of. So this is like, I'm gonna make a video on this stuff eventually, but I don't know where my Alakazam went. But I've been picking up like E-Series 10s.
Oh damn.
So like I got a bunch of these.
You're going for the 10s. You're not even getting the 9s to regrade. You're going straight for it now. You're like, screw it. I'm not gonna play.
Oh, here we go.
Get it.
Yeah, scissor.
I've been playing the 9. I've been buying a lot of 9s that I'm hoping to regrade eventually. Crack and regrade. Damn, those are pretty.
Yeah, I like this stuff a lot, man. I'm gonna make a video on it eventually, but it's like one of the things that I'm relatively like bullish and don't mind like holding for a longer period of time. It's like the Japanese E-Series 10s. So yeah, I'll make a video on that eventually and kind of like do a deep dive on the pop reports. Yeah, and then like, just like the F1 stuff, like I showed you guys, like this Hamilton 10, and then I'm excited. I'm gonna grade this. This is going out in my next submission. I bought this in a lot. So this guy is so there's 2 drivers per team. Lewis Hamilton is like arguably like the most famous F1 driver. But his teammate is this guy, Valtteri Bottas, and he also drives for Mercedes. He's a really good driver, but he just like doesn't get as much shine as Lewis because he's more like reserved. He's not as he's not
a
as
big
much of a
personality to be a race car driver.
yeah,
I've heard you have
exactly.
to, yeah.
But like this is a gold refractor and this is out of 50. And I won this in a lot. And like just this card by itself, raw is like 60 to 80 bucks. And I won the whole lot for like 60 bucks. So I'm gonna grade this, send this in at 50. It looks like it could 10. If it tens, like, you know, probably like $300 to $500 card. So yeah, I've just been picking up stuff like that. And then, you know, kind of like I was showing you guys before the podcast too, you know, just like a lot, just been going hammer, and I'm gonna make a video, like a deep dive on these, but just like a lot of the DBZ and just like card ass prism stuff in general.
Those
Yeah,
are
I
a
think
lot
those
of
are-
plays that I probably would have been making as Pokemon was really going to the moon and everything, and all of that was getting out of like my reach. I would be looking towards those sort of alternative classes. Do you feel like those have sort of leveled out like Pokemon did and done the same thing, or you think that they got their rise during that boom if they've never really kind of gotten back down to the point? Because I definitely feel like those didn't retrace quite as badly. People are still onto those and still looking for those plays, you know what I mean? And they still have room to grow, I would say. Whereas a lot of Pokemon stuff maybe booms so much that maybe it doesn't have as much room to grow because of that.
Yeah, so like these, like those DBZ cards I was just showing. So like with this kind of layout, there's other card ass DBZ stuff. There's like a few different versions, but these with like these backs on them with like all the characters, these come from sets called Visual Adventure. And again, like I'll make a video on all this eventually, but the Visual Adventure. So I've been like accumulating this stuff for like probably like a year or two at this point. And I wasn't really like aggressive about, you know, feeling like I needed to sell or feeling like I needed to grade it, because I figured that the only people that would grade it were probably like BGS, and I was like, I don't really want to deal with BGS's boomer system, and so I was in no rush. And then I was on Baiyi probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I saw some of these DBZ cards graded auctioning off on Baiyi, and I watched a card on Baiyi sell in a 9 for like $250. And then I watched on Probstein a week later some more in 8s sell for $250. And I have like 4 or 5 copies of that card that I'm in at like $10 a piece. I opened them straight out of the boxes, so they're in like perfect condition. So I've been like wailing out, just aggressively buying these boxes, because a lot of these cards are like pop 0 and 10 and like pop 1 and 9. Like there's just not a lot of these graded. So I'm going to make my videos, and then I'm going to send PSA like all the information they need to grade the stuff that they don't already grade, so that I can get these in PSA slabs and like not even mess around with Beckett. And I think they'll do well, man. Like it's all about price point, right? Like I've been buying these boxes that come with like anywhere from 8 to 10 prisms for like 1 to 120 for the DBZ stuff. And then I've been getting like Gundam stuff for like $30 a box. And this stuff's from like 1994, dude.
It's
And
that dead card game era we were talking about.
yeah, so I'm in these cards for like $3 a piece or whatever. They have no population. They look sick, and they're like genuinely vintage and hard to come by. There's a lot of these cards out there, but there's not a lot in good condition, because you have to remember, like, these were distributed out of vending machines, and the way they were packaged was just, they did not come in booster packs. They came raw in boxes with this like tape. I'll show in my video, but with this tape wrap around them. And they're just sitting raw in these boxes. So even now when I buy boxes, a lot of stuff's like 8 condition. You can still get, like, you're getting your best chances at like 9s and 10s. But they're just not out there, man. Like if you're just buying these cards as singles off Baiyi or eBay or whatever, like they're so hard to get in good condition, because they were coming out of vending machines, bro. And like, who in 1992 was walking up to a vending machine to spend $5 with their top loaders and their, you know, and their penny sleeves ready? Like it just wasn't happening, man. And so like I don't know. I like the niche stuff. I like doing something different, kind of like you with the tops or whatever. It's like finding stuff that you think is cool that other people just haven't thought about yet. You know what I mean? And when you put it in a slab and it's sick, it's in front of people, and people are tired of seeing the hundreds and hundreds of PSA 7 unlimited Diglets on PWCC every week. And it's like, oh, here's a PSA 9 tops card of like Ash and Pikachu from, you know, Pikachu's adventure, or whatever the short is at the beginning of Mewtwo Strikes Back or whatever. Like, that's a cool play. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of stuff, does well. You know, I think like riches are in the niches kind of deal. So sorry for the rant.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I still think that cards in plastic are a little bit overvalued, which is why we're sending all these cards. We're getting it barely in it, you know, in at 10, 15 bucks and sell them for hundreds of bucks. You know, I firmly believe that cards in plastic are, I don't know, it's just a weird concept to me, man. It's just a weird concept. I shouldn't be so critical on them though, because they make me a lot of money. To be honest, like grading companies, they make more money for the people who are involved than they hurt. So I don't know why, I guess I'm as critical as I am, but this is one of those things. I feel like it's overvalued. I still feel like cards in plastic are overvalued, and I will die on this hill. You know, we will be talking about this for years. You guys will tell me, you'll be like, look, I graded this card for $100. I sold it for $10,000. And I'll be like, awesome. Overvalued. I hate it, but good shit. And
Lex, have you cracked any slabs
Recently, or just in general?
Yeah, just in general.
I've never cracked a slab.
You're
most
lying.
recent one is, I have two that I cracked. Well, I cracked the most recent ones, turned out pretty good. It's I had a Skyridge Golem 8, and then I cracked it, and it came back a PSA 10. And then
damn,
that's his 10 that he shows. He got
that's
that out of an 8.
Crazy.
He made a freaking video. I remember that.
Dude, I was so hurt when, like, dude, I submitted it and I was like, this is a 10 no matter what. And I sent it and I got an 8. They were really harsh on that sub, I feel like. So I was like, oh, I cracked it, sent it, got a 10. And then the other one was oh, dude, what was it? It was a Stephen Curry downtown card. And so it was a BGS 9. And so I cracked it and it got a PSA 10. And
nice.
So that, dude, for that type of card, it added like another 1,000 value. You know what I mean? So
damn. Okay.
Dude,
Josh, you've cracked slabs before.
I have not. I have plenty of slabs to crack, but I haven't cracked them yet. It's not cracking season yet.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, Flex, but like for me, the first time I cracked a slab, it really put it into perspective for me that it was like, oh, this is just a raw card in a piece of plastic. You know what I mean? Like when you crack it out, it's like, and again, like I'm not saying like anything bad about grading companies or anything like that, because you know I think they play an extremely important role and obviously like make people a lot of money. But it was just wild to me to like crack it and be like, oh, like I had a slab and now I just have like a binder copy card. You know, it's a weird. Yeah. I don't know. At least for me, it kind of put that into perspective. I don't know about you.
Cards in plastic are weird, man. It's weird to me. The concept is so weird. That's why, like, I've never been into graded cards before this crazy, like, last 2 years. Like, I've strictly been in, like, I'm a card player. So, like, if you put your card in a plastic, you can never use it again. Like, one of the reasons I thought that Flesh and Blood was like really, really innovative, and I thought that graded Flesh and Blood cards could actually take off more so than like other TCGs, is because the cards that you get graded and the cards that you actually like are putting in plastic, they don't go in your deck. They do not go in your 60 card physical deck. They're your avatar. They're your equipment pieces that you start off with that you're never shuffling. So it's kind of cool to have them in a case. So it like makes sense to have those graded because you're never shuffling them. But like cards that ever have to be shuffled, why am I putting it in plastic? Like, so I can break it out if I ever need to use it? It's like, no, then it's no, you're stupid. You're stupid, old. Nobody freaking plays with these cards. It's like, well, why are they putting numbers on them? Then why are they doing all this? Why are they paying people to design these cards if nobody plays with them? That's my whole like, so like, I think it's just, I like I said, I will die on this hill. I think it's just graded cards I don't understand. And I will be just for the longest time, I think I will be saying this. So
I see where you're coming from. I kind of feel that a little bit because I really enjoy reading comics. Like I can't read a comic online. Like I need to have it in hand and like flip through it. And so to me, like the cover is cool, but a lot of the times like inside the comic has some of the best art. And to me, like having a comic slab to where you can never read it kind of sucks to me. I wish there was some version of grading that was more like it laminated all the individual pages so where you could still flip through it and stuff and look at it, but it was protected. Because I understand preserving and protecting the quality of something, right? Like even if you're a player, like you have deck sleeves, right? Like you want to keep your cards in at least like somewhat decent condition. But I feel what you're saying, because like I said with the comic stuff, it's like, man, like I want to read this. And so like I have a lot of comics to where it's like I don't personally have any graded comics, and it's not something that super appeals to me just because it's like I want more than just that's pretty cool.
like this is something that I could never grade. I want to grade, but I could never grade. This is one of the rarest Beckett issues and most desirable Beckett issues that exists. This Pokemon Beckett crossover 19. It's December 2001. Beckett Pokemon Harry Potter contest inside, but it's got such cool stuff inside, like Southern Islands. Look, the Southern Island. You could have ordered the Southern Islands for $40. The complete set, I'm sorry, $20 for the whole set, $20.
Damn.
And got it shipped to you. But like, this is a Harry Potter. It's got like some, I mean, I wouldn't, if I slab this, I can't ever enjoy it. You know, I can only look at that, and I can only look at that, and it's trapped.
With individual cards though, it's like at least you could still see the front and the back.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, I
can't
get
play
it.
with them anymore though, you know.
No, but like who's playing with a Umbreon VMAX alt art? You know what I'm saying? Like people are
playing with Black Lotuses. People are playing with Mox Diamonds. People are playing with Underground Seas. These are all reserve list Magic the Gathering cards that are some of the most valuable pieces of cardboard in the entire hobby, and people will literally put them in their deck and shuffle them and play them. Magic the Gathering, and this is a different situation altogether. We've sort of touched a little bit on this before on the podcast, but like Magic the Gathering is such a different monster in itself, because like you have these graded cards that you could absolutely command a premium for, but like Magic people will literally drag you for grading your cards. You'll get dragged like in the community. Like there are some people, graded card communities in Magic, that will be appreciative and they're like, yeah, cool. We understand the rarity, the scarcity, putting it in the slab protects it. Like you're crazy for wanting to play with that. But there are other people who literally only view Magic as a game. And the minute it stops being a game, it is completely devalued. And those people will drag you for slabbing up the most valuable card in the hobby, the Black Lotus, because it is the best card. It's one of the best cards in the hobby as well, like to use, like in a deck. Like it gives you a free turn, basically. It gives you 3 mana to do whatever you want with. This gives you a free turn for nothing, basically.
So let me ask you this, because we were kind of going to talk about like CGC and its place and blah blah blah, but like I've noticed, and a couple people that are pretty like engaged in Magic have kind of told me that when it does come to grading, BGS kind of like reigns supreme for Magic versus like a PSA, because I know PSA will also grade Magic. They won't grade Magic.
Oh, they will, but it's
okay. Yeah.
Rudy will mess with PSA, but it's not a lot of Magic, real serious graded Magic collectors like PSA, and it's strictly an aesthetic thing. It's all aesthetics.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my question, is like, why do you think people have gravitated to Beckett for Magic over PSA?
The brown Magic slab, the brown Magic background of the card and the designs of the cards look so much objectively better in those square with the gold labels or the silver labels, or with the the Beckett slabs. It is ubiquitously everyone in the Magic community agrees that Beckett is like the ideal. I personally hate Beckett slabs, and I would not ever grade anything Magic Gathering in anything but Beckett. So that's just my personal, and I don't even like, I don't like Beckett. So like, it looks better. In my opinion, it looks better. And it's almost like, I know that that's subjective, like that's opinionated, but it's almost so ubiquitous in the hobby that it's not subjective. It's almost objective that Beckett is the Magic. You grade your Magic cards with Beckett.
Okay.
They also,
so then what do you got? Oh, go ahead.
They're lenient on Magic cards with like the alpha and the beta. They understand like that some alpha cards have like little corner, or like alpha beta cards have like situations where the way that they were cut, that if they were to not understand that, they would never be a 10. And so they understand that, and they grade accordingly so that they understand the print and so that matters with certain niche things. And with something as rare as like, there are less than 10,000 of any one card in alpha, I believe, made in the original print run, less than 10,000, I believe. So that's not very many cards. And then you take it the 30 years it's been around and all that, attrition, the time it was worth nothing. And so there's a whole lot of fundamentals in that too. But yeah, Beckett for Magic, that's the only play. And I know CGC is trying to make a bigger play into Magic, but I don't think they're ever going to get any market share there.
Yeah. So you guys want to talk CGC?
I would love to talk CGC just because I'm sending them 69 cards of tops, and I have another. I'm going to probably send them 50 of the Arceus V, the promo from the new Arceus box. So I would love to talk grading. But what's your thoughts on CGC? I'm curious, Flex, because I never see you talk about them ever. You're literally strictly PSA or BGS, I feel like.
I feel like every company has its like uses, I guess. I've never submitted a CGC. I have a small submission for CGC right now. It's just error cards because they actually recognize the error. That's pretty much it. It's like one Fire Emblem Cypher card.
Could you move your mic down a little bit? I haven't, yeah. Or yeah, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's way better.
That's
Okay,
better.
my bad. Yeah, I didn't realize it was so far away from the mic.
No, you're good.
But fuck, what was I saying?
Error cards, Fire Emblem.
I was
Cypher.
asking about CGC and whether or not you think there are plays to be made, because I never see you talking about CGC. I've talked about them quite a bit, whether one way or the other, but I don't actually hear much coming from you on it. I'm curious your opinion about the company.
I mean, I was pretty much so indifferent about CGC for a minute. It just literally didn't make any sense when you could send a card to PSA and you got the same, and CGC would grade you harder from, like, I've never graded with them, so I don't really know, but they would grade you harder and you get a harder grade. And then it was like, oh, okay. And you would get like half the value. So it literally never made any monetary sense. It just logically, it was like, what was the point? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, they're cheaper now, so that's definitely a play. I think.
Well, they've actually raised their prices. They were $10 a card, and they raised it to 15. Not like, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, when like PSA was lowering their prices and coming down and like getting back to normal. CGC is like, let's bump it up, guys. And they've graded a third of the total TCG cards compared to. So as far as like how many cards, Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles, was doing a big, like a deep dive into like CGC numbers or whatever. And CGC has already graded an entire 1/3 of the amount of cards that PSA has graded of Pokemon in their entire lifetime, just in the last year and a half. So the rate at which CGC is acquiring market share is really, really impressive. It's not just impressive. It's kind of concerning because, well, like,
is it like I don't know how to say this. Is it like lower end cards though? Does that?
That was the argument that was made in the same sort of breakdown, was that a lot of the cards that were sent to CGC were not high end cards because you send your high end cards to PSA. That wasn't the case in the early days, though. In CGC in the early days, before everyone knew 8.5 was their favorite thing to hand out, people were sending everything. So a lot of the early data, and it was the only thing open at the time as well. So a lot of the early data, I think the early data would be less skewed to that sort of a statistic than maybe the middle data, as you were saying. I think some of that mid time when people knew that people were grading hard at CGC and you only sent your modern cards that were worth sub whatever money that you knew were going to get graded hard, you sent those to CGC. Yeah, I think then you probably saw a bottleneck of like first edition base where no one's sending their first edition base cards to CGC, because why would you just send them to PSA and get an easier grade and probably more money for it anyway. But like I do think that now news has come out and the CGC 10 rate has gone up. It's gone up as of the last 2 months from a 1% 10 rate, which before 2 months ago, if you sent your cards to CGC, you had approximately a less than 1% chance of getting a pristine 10, not even perfect, pristine. Now you have approximately a 5 and some change percent chance to get a 10 just in the last 2 months. And that's that's a markedly increased amount of 10s. And in the same amount, with the same scale, they've increased their 9.5s and 9s as well. So a lot of those rates, and it sort of corresponded with then when their sports parent company, they dropped some of their grading standards as well. Do you remember when, I think it was CSG?
CSG, yeah.
Yeah, CSG announced that they were going to make their 9.5 the 10 grade, basically, right? Or their pristine was not going to be it was some weird thing where it was basically shifting all the grades down one. The CGC corresponds with that parent company, them giving the more 10s, it lines up almost perfectly.
You know what's funny too is, and Flex, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand in the sports market, CSG is like, unless it's a 10, it's basically like raw price. Like it's like worthless. Like there's no reason to grade with CSG.
I would never buy a CSG card. I mean, the only reason would be you buy it so you can crack. Literally, I thought it was a play for a minute. I never followed through, but it was a play for a minute, I feel like, because you could get it for near raw price and just they have pretty like higher, like good standards of grading, I guess. So you can just crack it and send it to PSA and get that premium.
It's like what people use Pokemon cards from CGC with the hard grading ones, you just get them and send them to PSA, crack it and send them to PSA.
But here's the thing with CGC too, man, is like they are super, super chill on surface. So like all these people thinking like, oh, I'm going to take these 8.5s and get 9s and 10s. It's like, dude, on some of those, maybe. But like I've got a lot of homies that have got cards back with dents and bends that get 9.5s, dude. And it's like the rest of the card's perfect, but it's got like a dent or a scratch or a bend. And like CGC or PSA rather is so much more strict on surface issues and dents and creases and things like that. I think CGC maybe is going for like more of an eye appeal type grading rather than like an actual, but they're way less harsh on surface. Like I made a joke in a Discord server earlier. I was like, CGC's slogan should be like, if it has a dent, it's getting sent. Cause like it's just like man, like because dude, so many times I bought cards from Japan to where like the card is immaculate and then like I flip it over and like it's got slight little scuffing or scratching on the back or whatever, or it's got like a little dent. I'm like, man, like this card would have been a 10 but for the dent or whatever. And it's like, well, you send it to CGC and they might kind of be. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. But what I will say too is like, so like a lot of people in the Final Fantasy community are actually starting to like CGC potentially more because they've done the research to go and understand the the things that differentiate what's called like Wave 1 from like the unlimited print of like the base set of Final Fantasy, whereas like PSA, you can send in a card and call it Wave 1 and they're just going to label it Wave 1. They don't know. It's not like Pokemon where it's a first edition stamp. Sometimes it's like this letter was slightly shifted or the colon placement is different or one word spelled differently or whatever. And so
it's like
CGC
no rarity. No rarity versus gift box is what it is, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
PSA still doesn't get that shit. So
CGC has actually taken the time to go out and do the research. They've gone deep on because the only way you can find them is there's a couple dudes who've made like PDFs you can download on the Final Fantasy Facebook group, and then there's like deep forums that have like lists of all the differences between like Wave 1 and regular. So somebody from CGC has spent the time to go out and like categorize all these differences for all these cards. So that's a potential niche for them, right? Is like,
Yeah.
okay, well, like we'll put the work in. Like Flex just said, like he's sending error cards. That might be a move for them. You know what I mean? Is like that specializing in things that PSA is just not willing to put the work in on. You know what I mean?
Grade
I don't know.
so many different things, and they're adding so many TCGs every few months. They're adding more, and they're taking more market share. That's like they know that in order to get people to buy or to buy into their company, people have to see their company. They have to see these cards being graded in order for them to ever want them. And so like it's really smart to keep on like adding more and more and more to your repertoire, because they're going to be the first ones to grade the gold cards. Did you guys hear that announcement they made 2 weeks ago? The gold Charizard and Pikachu from the ultra premium collections. CGC made an announcement like 2 weeks ago. It said, we are working on these cards and we have a solution in place, and by the end of May we should have it. And so the things I'm seeing from CGC is like a willingness to adapt to their business, a willingness to see what the niche is needed and what isn't being given to them by these other companies, and take that on and say, yeah, we're accepting that burden, and we are not just accepting it, we're wholeheartedly accepting it. So like it's, to me, they're making right moves, whereas like PSA is just doing this dinosaur shit that they've done. They're just buying up companies here and there, like old, and they're doing the same old thing. Like I do like a couple of things that PSA has done recently, like with some of their behind the scenes business moves, I guess. But like for the most part, it feels like the only company out of these big graders who are innovating is CGC. And it's the one, it's funny because it's like the one that like I was the most, I will be 100% honest, I was the most critical of. And I think a lot of people in the hobby are most, and I think that people are going to continue to be critical on. But it's funny because now, me, somebody who hates graded cards, somebody who doesn't like graded, I'm looking at CGC and I'm like, you're honestly making a lot of the right decisions here. Like I can't, would you do something differently if you were CGC? Like, would you be or do you think they're making a good decisions there? Because even though we're not sitting here sending everything to CGC, I think there's a play in the future for sure.
Yeah, I think CGC is doing the right moves, like doing all the nerd stuff. Like I don't know how to say that, but it's like they're doing all the stuff where it's like, if you're a nerd about this stuff, you're gonna, oh, let me look up this like print run and this type of stuff. And it's like PSA, like you guys are saying, they refuse to acknowledge that. And I don't know why they don't. That's where I'm confused, because if they did that, CGC would lose so much of what they're doing. It was like, let's acknowledge like alignment dots, let's acknowledge like certain types of like sets and stuff. Like, dude, CGC would lose so much. Like the only reason I'm submitting this stuff to CGC is because PSA doesn't do it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
At a certain price point. So a lot of people are saying that they think PSA will come back down. And I myself have said publicly that I thought by Q2 of next year that we would see $10 grading again at PSA. I want to come back on that. And I want to say I don't believe that anymore. I actually do not believe we're going to see $10 grading. I think we're going to see $15 to $20 grading by then. And I think we might see specials, quarterly specials for like the premium members or whatever for their membership tier. Just because like, I used to think that like there would be so much being sent that they would get back in the weeds again. And that would be a good thing for them. But I just don't think that they have a real, that amount of stuff will ever get sent again until there's another boom. And I don't think they can rely on that. And I think they're going to have to keep their cost of grading at close to $20 probably to capitalize and pay what I don't have the business. I don't have like the statistics or numbers to share that. Like I didn't look at their books and discover this and look at like what they're paying their employees. But like, I do feel like if they were to go all the way scale back to what they were before, they would have to have as many cards as were being submitted during the boom. And let's be honest, people got out of it. People aren't going to send, like the people who said, oh yeah, if I would have bought Vivid, so I remember when Vivid Voltage was $200 a booster box, okay? I remember when it was over $200 a booster box. So let's call it 200 to be even. There were people in the hobby who were screaming, saying, I will literally go into debt buying Vivid Voltage booster boxes when they are $125 or $150, literally like 25% off, which is still over MSRP. People were wanting MSRP at the time, and then MSRP came. And what happened? Those same people did not do that. So those people were also saying, oh, I have a 5,000 card box of cards that I'm ready to send to PSA right now, the minute it opens up. You know what those people are doing right now? They're working at fucking Wendy's, and they are not sending their cards into PSA. That's 2 years from now. Who knows what they're doing 2 years from now? They're probably, I don't know, serving Frosties, at a convention or something. Who knows?
Well, but a lot of the stuff too that was like worth it to grade is no longer like worth grading, even at like $10, $15, $20. So like the people that got in at the perfect time and were sending stuff for the $750 special and the $10 or whatever, and got their stuff back like mid Logan Paul or like slightly after, and were able to get these premiums, like
good job.
People, yeah, those people caked up. But like there's so many cards, specifically like I even had a bunch of because I was buying like minty Japanese Gym and Neo for like $2 to $5 a card. And now, dude, like in nines, those cards are sometimes like $20 to $30. And it's like,
so it's not even worth sending at $20.
Yeah, like exactly, man. So now it's just like, so a lot of those cards I've just been like turning around, selling for like $10 a piece raw, just to like get some capital, because it's just not worth it anymore on a lot of those cards. And that kind of goes back to that point I was making, like margins are tightening. And you're gonna have to work harder now. Like the free tendies, it's just like it's not that shit's over with, bro. Like it's and to me too, like the thing with PSA as far as like going back to the cheaper grading and stuff like that. I just sent in a submission at the beginning of April. Like I sent one in on like the 1st, and then the second one got received on like the 5th. Those are already like shipped and headed back to me. So those should be here on like Monday. So that's like a month turnaround time. That was at the $50 submission. And dude, I probably hit like 5 or 10 of these lotteries or whatever and hit it every single time. Like it's not even a lottery. It's like if you open enough browser tabs, you're getting a submission.
They need people to be sending at that high price. They're trying to get those Timmies. They're like, please, because they know they could open up at any point, and they're just kind of getting it while they can. They're getting it well. So yeah, they're not going to open. I mean, they could, but yeah.
Well, and when I started too in like April, like at the beginning of like April, like for those subs specifically, I remember when, because you join the lottery and then it'll say like, okay, here's your place in line once like 9 o'clock rolls around.
It was in the thousands back then.
Yeah, it was in the now it's like 800, 600 on all my tabs. So it's like, dude, and like last time I left all these tabs open and I literally hit submissions on every single one of them. I had 7 tabs open and every single one of them got an allocation. So like, I'm
not even messing with the $50 subs right now. There's almost nothing I would like to send to PSA for $50 that I mean, there's a couple things that I probably could, but I think the play is to be made is in the cheaper in the CGC right now. And that's like, holy shit, how am I saying this out loud right now? This is wild. Like,
I mean, dude, if you're getting stuff back in like a month or less and you're sending it for 15, even if you're going to get less of a premium than you would get at PSA, I mean, shit, man, if you're buying these cards for $5 to $10 a piece, you're sending them off for 15, you're in at 25 to 30. If you're hitting $50 a card, $60 a card, that's that pencils, especially at volume. Like that's a good business model. You know what I mean? So
a lot of cards that aren't even selling too. Like a lot of cards that just as a $5 card, they're sub $5 card, they wouldn't want it. But then someone puts it in a slab and, it gets a high grade and someone suddenly wants to pay $100 for it. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting situation. But anyone who's listening, I do think if you were watching this channel months ago, you would have heard us talking so much shit about CGC. You would have seen, I would have mocked you for sending cards to CGC. Now I think the tables have turned.
PK is gonna watch this and be like, "Oh my god! Like, what Kool-Aid are these people drinking?"
He's gonna be tearing out. Yeah, he's gonna be like trying to tear out his hair that he's got underneath that hat.
Yeah, and I mean, I get where he was coming from, but like, I also got Small Me's point too. It was like, yeah, like you might not have got the grades you wanted, but it's like, dude, PSA was shut down. You were able to send here, and you were still able to make money. So it's like, you can't be mad. Yeah, you can't be mad. And like, everything has its place, right? Like, is it ever going to command the premium that PSA does? Like, no, probably not. but it's also like cheaper and quicker than like what PSA's got going right now, and it recognizes these error cards and all that other stuff. So it's like you just kind of got to get in where you fit in. You know what I mean?
So what the hell, Beckett? What the hell is Beckett doing in all this? Like, what is going on? Are they sitting in the background, just like kind of like, what is going on with Beckett?
What was your submission experience, Flex? Like when you sent in those McDonald's E-Series promos, like is it easy? Like
You're the
quick
only
is the
one I know
turnaround?
who sent something to Beckett that I talk to regularly. So yeah, please divulge. I'd love to know.
I tried to do it online. They have like an online paperwork or like an online submission form. It doesn't work. First of all,
Of course it doesn't.
dude, it doesn't.
Why would it
literally
work?
Doesn't work, dude. Literally asks you for your information and then asks for like I forgot. It asks for like one thing, like it's like your address or something, and then
Give me your
it's like,
Blockbuster customer number.
dude, no, like literally though, it'll be like you fill in the paperwork and you're like you press enter and then it's like please fill in your shipping address or like something like that. But there's no space to put in your shipping address anywhere.
But you figured it out, right? Like you were able to send. So somehow,
dude, I didn't do it online though. I literally had to give up on doing it online. Like their online
you printed
system.
it out. You actually had to write it out.
Dude, I had to print it out. I printed it out and I filled out the paperwork, and I just submitted it. That's literally the only way to do it. Like I was.
So did you? So you're saying like, okay. So did you print the paperwork out, fill it out, send it? Then they sent you confirmation back saying we got your paperwork, or you sent your cards and like a check with the paperwork, or like how does that work?
You send the info and you have to write down your credit card info on the paperwork. So,
what
is this 1995?
Dude, it's dumb.
Yeah, I was joking about the
so
Pony
dumb.
Express, but holy shit,
it's bad, and it's like you're left in the dark the whole and like. It's weird because you're like, are they even gonna get my package? Like it feels like awkward. You know what I mean? Like at least when you submit an online thing, you're like, okay, like they're prepared for my package. Like
package received, little green.
And it's like they will email you when you get the package or like when they get the package.
Okay.
So they'll email you and that's the most you get, and then you can't even really check the status of your order. Do you know what I mean? Like basically, I submitted to Beckett and I was like, if these are gone forever, they're gone forever. That's literally what I thought. You know what I mean?
How long did it take? Like, how long was it? It's $50, right? It's $50 per card.
I did 150 tier for them because for me, I was like, oh, the Jordan's worth it. I'll just submit these other two just to experiment and like see. And so it didn't take that long, honestly. It took under a month for the 150.
It still took a month for 150?
It was under a month for sure. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks. So it was way faster than I thought it would be because I submitted at 150 and I didn't read that it was like gonna be a couple weeks. You know what I mean? I want to say it was like in between 2 and 3 weeks, but definitely under a month. You know what I mean?
You think the company of Beckett has over or under 69 employees? Over under. What's your over under on it?
Under.
I'm gonna say it's definitely under. From how slow and how like boomer-esque they are. Like there's less than
if it was over, they would have fixed their website by now. Dude, their website is so bad, bro. Like I tried so hard to like figure it out. And it's like if I didn't have the Michael Jordan card, I would have just been like, this isn't worth it. Because Beckett does have its place. It's literally like if you know a card can't get a 10, but you can get a 9.5, and you'd rather get a 9.5 than a PSA 9, Beckett all day. That's why I said the Jordan there, because I was like, bro, like I know it can get a 9.5, which it did. But I don't want, like, you know what I mean? I'd rather have the 9.5 than the PSA 9.
The black label hunt sounds pretty interesting. I think you were talking about doing a black label hunt the last time we talked, Flex.
I think black label hunt is a play, especially with them opening up 50. At the end of the day, black labels, like, I think, oh man.
What's the type of card you would go for a black label on? Would you go for like, so here's my question to you about black label hunting. There are probably a few ways you can go about it. Would you go for a somewhat high tier card and try to buy 5 to 10 of them and try to look at the best of those and look at the condition as you're buying them and do it that way, like a $200 card or something? Or would you look at a $1 card and buy 100 of them or 200 of them and just try to take the best 10 or 15 or 20 of those 200 and keep submitting and go for that type of a black label? I'm talking the amazing rare versus the alternate art. Like, which way are you? What are you looking at black labeling?
See, I wouldn't target any card any specific way. I think a black label is so like specific that you kind of just have to, when you see a card that can black label, that's when you buy it and then submit it. Does that make sense? Like I'm not even targeting any specific card. I'm targeting when I find a card that's black labelable, black, you know what I mean? That has the highest chances of getting a black label in my own personal head and my own personal experience. I would just pick it up and try it from there. Because at the end of the day, it's like, if you hit that black label, if you hit that pristine, buying a card at market price, you do not take an L. You know what I mean? You're gonna get a premium.
As far as like the black label is concerned, though, like, do you ever think you can see it's just kind of gambling at that point? That you just kind of take it, rolling the dice every time until you get one that it's not gambling if you have a good eye for it. You have a good eye for it.
Think I have a good eye. For me personally, it's like obviously like it's different for other people, but it's like for me personally, I think I have a good standard of it because I got those Japanese cards. I've never held a pristine in my hand. I've never held a black label in my hand, and so I had those cards and I was like, these are way clean. Like, and I was like, I think they have a good chance of at least pristining, if not black labeling. And I was like, I just don't understand the centering on these. Remember that one day I texted
we
you,
were
like,
literally discussing it for like an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I just don't know about the centering, but I know about every other aspect of it. And I subbed and I got 10s on everything except for centering. So in my head, I think it's a skill-based, like, educated guess, if that makes sense.
So that being said, don't you think it would be a good idea to look at some of the products and some of the populations of black labels of things and see what has the highest amount of population of black labels, and then look at that sealed product and be like, look, this sealed product is clearly cut really well. It was made well so that a lot of the cards that come out of this set are getting labels. And then would you target those and open them yourself and send that way? Because like, if you're not looking for a specific card, you're just looking for card quality. Wouldn't you then look for those high quality cards and just go to the source or something?
To increase your odds of like doing that.
Yeah, because then you're taking one hand out of it. One person doesn't have to open it. You could then open it, And then you have the data of like, there are black labels, a lot of like, say, Weiss sports cards, for example. I feel like I see black labels of individual Weiss cards quite a bit. Not the same card over and over, but like Weiss in general, I see black labels out there. Now, is that because people are sending many Weiss cards to try to get the black labels, or is it because the few Weiss cards that are being sent are just of that quality always and are getting that at a higher rate? And if that's the case, knowing that, that's a play to be made, right? Like you could then, I guess.
I think it's definitely the card quality, because I've noticed that with Dragon Ball Super too. Like every time someone pulls a God Rare, it's like straight to Beckett. You know what I mean? Like people don't even really mess with PSA. And I think that's because the card quality is like so good. And I know there's this guy who was kind of like the Pokenomics of Final Fantasy. It was TCG Authority was his name. And he did a lot of Beckett submissions for like those wave 1 cards, and he got great grades because the card stock, like just the card quality on Final Fantasy is so good. So he's hitting like lots of black labels, lots of 9.5s.
Yeah. It's like these things.
Yeah.
These cards, these old playing cards that Beckett grades, the vintage,
those always hit 10s.
These get so many black labels. Like, am I a fool for not just opening this and sending it to try to get black labels? Like,
that Lugia art is sick too.
Yeah, the Lugia one's the better. There's a Ho-Oh one too, but the Lugia is the better of the two for sure. I like the gold Ho-Oh though. The gold's really nice. But like those types of things have been known, like the Uno cards too. You know the Pokemon Uno cards that the meme they started grading Uno cards at Beckett recently, and there's Pokemon Uno cards that exist, and they get black labels and they sell, bro. They sell, and so like, and I've heard they're really easy to actually get the black label on. So like, people just want the black label. I think that some people, there's just enough of a hype around black label that it literally doesn't. It could be a what's that guy Tracy? The character from Pokemon in Orange Islands, like Tracy. Yeah. That it could be a Tracy card black label, and I bet that would sell like crazy, like thousands, because it's just a black label. So maybe the black label thing is a play, but I'm gonna fall back to what I believe about graded cards in general and say that I think the black labels are a big overpriced bubble.
Well, that's the thing, is like, who are you in this situation? Are you the grader or are you the collector? Because like, as far as like continued value appreciation goes, like it might be a bag, but I remember I watched it was Green Shiz and Jake. I think it was on Green Shiz's channel, and he said he regretted it, but he said that he bought a Perfect 10 CGC Amazing Rare. I think it was a Kyogre, and I think he said he paid like $400 for it. And it's like, obviously, like you can go get that. Yeah, exactly. You can go get that card for like $2, $1, like whatever. But clearly to him, like, I mean, it's a color match too on the slab, so that's kind of cool.
I like the blue and the
yeah. But like as a collector, and again, like I'm not trying to rag on him. Like he said, like he said like, you know, like maybe this wasn't the best purchase, but clearly to him, like as a collector or whatever, like he saw some value there. He was like, this is like a cool card. I like Kyogre. It is a pristine 10 or whatever, and like he paid a premium. So it's like, clearly to somebody like the Black Label premium makes sense, you know, because it is at the end of the day, like these pristine 10s from CGC and these Black Labels from Beckett, like they are always going to be, I shouldn't say always, but probably always going to be lower pops than a PSA 10. And so as a collector, like that might be attractive to you. Like I have the only Black Label of this Mewtwo card versus there's like 85 PSA 10s. Now 85 PSA 10s might still be like, okay, well that's relatively low pop, but like to a collector's mind, it's like, well, I have the only Black Label. Like this is a perfect card. You can see all the subgrades here, 10, 10, 10, 10. You know what I mean? And like, so it's, who are you in this situation? Are you the grader? Are you the person that's good at pre-grade? And that's something I want to ask you guys about too, is because I watch this guy like Card Collector too. He runs this podcast called Card Talk. He's like super big in the sports world. But at his shop, they do a lot of pre-grading. He runs a pre-grading service to where like he'll middleman to PSA for people, but he'll have people give him their cards, and then he'll hit them up on the phone and be like, hey man, I went through your submission. This card's gonna hit a 5. It's probably not worth it to send it a 5. This card's gonna hit an 8. You'll probably break even. So do you still want to send these in? And I don't know if anybody's doing that in the Pokemon space, but pre-grading like is a skill. And so I wonder like what you guys think about that. Like if that's like a service you could see like somebody potentially offering it, something, because like Flex, for instance, like dude just bought all that stuff from IE and like hit 9s, 10s, 10s, 10s. And that's valuable, right? Like that's valuable to somebody if you're paying even like $5 a card, $10 a card to have somebody pre-grade your stuff if you're not experienced or you don't have the same sort of eye.
So my question,
what do you guys think about that?
What is he doing with his business? Before I can answer that, or before I think either of us can answer, I want to specifically flesh out what he's doing. So when he's pre-grading, are people paying for that service before they send it? Like, as in, like, he's the middleman. You're paying $15 a card to send the card plus the grading costs, and that $15 includes the pre-grading fee. And then he goes through it and says, "Hey, look, now after looking at your submission, it looks like this card, or this card isn't worth sending. So do you still want to do that?" And then people pay the fee and they say, "Oh yeah, no, I don't want to do that," or "I do, thanks a lot." And that's included in the cost. Or is it like he has the middleman situation where you're paying the middleman cost and then there's an additional cost that you can add on if you'd like? Because just for to see how it works. Because like,
is it additional?
It's like I've seen the video you're talking about. It's an older video, but I don't know how he does it like new, like recently. But when he first started YouTube, it was like an extra $2 or something, like $2 or $3, and he would give them like an estimate of like what he thinks they would get.
So that being said, I think that's a good idea because it gives you the option as the customer. So you can send 100 cards. You're like, yo, I know that these 90 cards are definitely going to go, but like, I'm not sure about these 10 here. Like, what do you think as someone who's like a professional in this? And if someone wants to give them X amount of money to do that, even if it's $1,000 a card, if they think it's going to be worth it, I think that is a service that would be worth it. The only thing is like what happens and how much of a guarantee do you offer? Do you have to have this huge disclaimer beforehand where you're like, hey, this is just my opinion. A PSA doesn't always listen to it. Like I have no way to say what this is actually going to grade. I may say it's going to be a 9, but it could get a 2. I don't want you to be mad at me afterwards. And so you get charged. But so like, how much risk are you taking on as like your right? So like, I feel like me personally, if I were to offer that, just because of the way I am, I wouldn't want to offer that unless I was really confident to the point where I could give some sort of a guarantee. You know what I mean? But that might just be my uneasiness and unwillingness to take on extra risk. Because like I'm not very relatively risk adverse. Like the riskiest thing I do is my business is selling Pokemon cards. And so I can't take on very much more risk in addition to selling Pokemon. So I'm not a very risk adverse person. So like I wouldn't add on that level on for myself personally. So I think it has to do with like the person and like the business and their level of like how much they want to take on of responsibility. But that's the same reason I don't middleman for people on my channel anymore. Ever since the whole Mark's card thing and the situation with Graded Gym where like the insurance, like something got lost in the mail and like the insurance was fighting them on like what the value of the cards were because it got lost while it was being sent. And like then the people who got paid out got screwed because the insurance company was obviously looking out for their best interests and they're trying to pay out the least amount possible. But then like, you know, the grading company who's the middleman, they want to get the most for their customers too, but then they're having to fight these lawyers of the insurance company. So like, I would hate to be put into that situation. So like, that would be what I would worry about with something like that. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, to answer your question, I could see that taking off. And currently nobody does that I know of.
I was, honestly, I was thinking about doing it with
like?
my teaming up with my LCS. We've been talking about it for months, honestly, and just doing that. Cause it's like, at the end of the day, it's like we're gonna charge like an extra $5 on top of the grading, you know what I mean, to do it with bulk, and then I would just charge an extra like $3 on top of each card to like pre-scan it. And it's like, I don't know if you've seen the way Ludkins does it. I was thinking about all the stuff you've been talking about, but I think you do have to put a disclaimer. And I was like I was telling the shop owner, it's like, bro, like you just gotta let them know like these pre-grades, like it's not a guarantee. Like that's just life. Like it just is random. And it's this. The other thing is too is like at the end of the day, it's like if people do get hurt about the pre-grading, this is just something I think about, but it's like, do you even want them as necessarily as customers at the end of the day? So just they get that and they like are like, bro, what the fuck? And then they can just move on. But anyways, the way Ludkins does it is they do the same thing. They charge like $2 or $3 for a pre-grade, but their pre-grades, from what I've noticed, like from my friend's submission, because he did the pre-grades, is they underestimate the grades really hard. Like they like guesstimate a weird random number. Like they'll put 5 through 7. Do you know what I mean? Or they'll put 6 through 8. Yeah. And then of course what's gonna happen is homie's already paid and they'll be like, oh, they said it was gonna be a 7 and they got an 8. Yo.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, like I don't know how to say it, but it's like how I view those pre-grade things is it's almost just an extra level of free income. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you play it right, which
it could be an advertisement for your service too, because like, so if you don't offer that, even as someone who's not going to ever use it to begin with, the fact that you offer it could make them maybe be willing to use you in the first place because it's a level of service. Or maybe someone who only wants one of their cards pre-graded, well, then they're going to send you the rest of their cards anyway. Maybe they wouldn't have ever done that to begin with. They would have just sent it themselves. So because they wanted one card pre-graded, they ended up sending you their whole submission and you submit it for them. So then you get X, Y, or Z amount of cards that you get to then make, you know, into revenue for your business. So yeah, I think it's a specialty that is a good thing to offer. It's just like someone like me, I would be uncomfortable offering it because I don't feel like I'm experienced in grading enough to be able to put my expert. But someone like you who does, I will be honest, you do freaking well with your grades. Like you really do have an eye for it, it seems like. And if not, you're the luckiest person I've ever met. But one of those two things is true. And so either you're the luckiest person I've ever met, and I don't believe in luck, or you have a good eye for it. So one of those two things is true.
I think part of what's cool about I think his name's Ryan, card collector too. Is that his name?
Yeah, it is.
I think part of the reason, or part of what's cool about what Ryan does too, is not only is he giving you like his personal opinion on the pre-grade, but he's also saying like, if this does 8, here's the market price, you know, and so that to me provides value, right? Because a lot of these people like might be first-time graders or not fully understand the value after like spending shipping and grading fees. It's like, yeah, you do have a good card, but if you want to sell it, it might be better and less risky for you to just sell this raw, because if it comes back at this grade, you're not really, you know what I'm saying? And so like that,
is this newer episodes you're talking about, or
so he did a series where he was showing his new card shop being built, And then he did like an episode that was called like the day in the life of a card shop owner, and it just kind of like showed everything he did like throughout the day. And part
It's
of
older, right? Like,
yeah, it's
okay.
probably like a year old or
I
something
feel like we
like
watched
that
the
now.
same episode.
Okay, but he's sitting there in his office calling this dude on the phone saying, "Hey John, whatever, I went through your sub. I think the LeBron is good. That's gonna 10, but then this Kobe over here is gonna 8, and like if it 8s, it's only gonna sell for this. So like, do you still want to go ahead with that? Blah blah blah." And then the guy's on the phone like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. You know, so that to me like provides some value too. And again, like that's gonna take time and effort. But like if you're somebody like a Z&G, for instance, or like a Dan or an old school Pokemon that grades so much and has so much knowledge of like all these price points, for them it's just like, hey man, like I think this is gonna get probably like a 9, and here's what the last 5 9s that I can remember kind of sold for. So like, is it worth it to you? You know what I mean? So somebody like that that's already got that market knowledge like at hand, it has gone through hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands of cards at this point. Like to me, that's valuable to people, because a lot of these, I mean, if everybody was a pro grader, there wouldn't be junk slabs. There wouldn't be all this trash out there. There wouldn't be 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, like, and again, that's not like a majority of the market, a majority of the graded cards, but there's a lot of junk out there. You know what I mean? And so if you had somebody that was telling you, hey man, like unless you just want this for your collection and you just want it slabbed and graded or whatever, like, you know, like to me that provides value. Yeah, it would help.
Yeah,
it
would definitely help. Yeah, no, and I guess where I'm at with it is like I could definitely see that being a thing, and I'm wondering if the market would too. But I think it would if it's advertised right and if you trusted the person you're sending it to like give you that. It would require that level of rapport that you had with your customer for sure.
No, I think it definitely has a market. Just even from hanging out in the card shop all day, it's like there's so many homies who are very like, well, I want to grade my cards, but it's like I don't know what it would do, and I don't know what it would like, what grade it would get. Like, I don't know I mean, they're all the same questions that I had when I first started, where it's like, well, like, what is a 9? Like, what is a 10? Like, what is it? Like, you know what I mean? It's like giving that perspective. Like, a lot of people want that, but they're too not scared's not the right word. They're too intimidated by the process. And so
yeah, there's something about grading that's very intimidating, like to a lot of people. Just for some reason, the process is very intimidating. It's like selling a card. Like we sit here, we sell cards all day. It's like that's like second nature to us. But there are some people in this hobby who have been in the hobby the whole time, who will be in the hobby for years longer, who will never sell a card. And to me, that's I can't imagine a world where that would be, because like even when I was a kid, like I would trade. Like trading for me like was like hustling and selling cards, you know, because I would try to trade up to get the cards I needed for my deck. When my decks weren't useful anymore, I'd trade those away and get new ones, and you know, I'd just move on. So I think to me, it's wild that there are those people.
Yeah. I don't get it either. It's almost unfathomable, but it's like I've been there though, because I was like, oh, selling cards is scary. But I was like, if I want to keep in my head, I was like, if I want to justify buying Pokemon cards, I need to sell cards. You know what I mean? And
so is there anything else you guys want to talk about tonight that we can touch on? Because I had something fun that I kind of wanted to end on tonight. I bought a lot of booster packs, some top series 2 booster packs, and there were like 25 of them. And I need to know whether or not the hollows are going to stick because it was bricked, or whether or not it's actually going to come out like PSA worthy. So I'm going to open one of these with you guys just at the end of the show here. But I wanted to see if there's any last minute. Oh, good. You have something too. We'll have a little opening at the end. You got anything near you? Flex, you got anything near you there?
Oh my, I have those packs.
Oh, don't do that.
like,
no.
You're like, no, never mind. No, never mind.
Wait, what packs?
No.
What packs?
It's a Call of Legends pack.
Yeah, no.
It's like Call of Legends, Undaunted, and Triumphant.
Ooh, those are banger sets too.
Those are all good. Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I need to find out whether or not, since now in honor of CGC grading Topps cards, and in honor of me sending a submission to CGC on Monday when they finally get back to my email, even though they're grading Topps cards, there are some Topps cards they are not grading or aren't in their system. I need to know whether or not that is intentional or whether or not there's something keeping them from grading them before I just send the things. But I know for a fact they grade Series 2. And so this is a Series 2 blue back, which is the first print, not the second print. Second print would have a black, it would have a black top symbol right there. And it is a non-collector's edition. There's no collector's edition stamp on this, which means it's going to have a flat silver hollow foil. Some of these have a rainbow hollow foil error. It's not an error, it's a variant. And those are only in the first print run, which is called the collector's print. And you can tell because those have a stamp on both the booster box and on the actual pack. But this is my favorite, besides Series 3, which is my real favorite, this is one of my favorite of the more easy ones to acquire because you actually have a chance of getting those inserts of die cut cards and the plastic cards, the like clear Charizard, clear Mewtwo, clear Flying Pikachu, which I think are really cool.
This is so stupid.
The way that they put those in the box is so wasteful.
Yeah. Why would you do that? I don't know, man.
It's almost acting like they want the cards to be damaged. So anyway, we are opening. I'm going to open this during the stream because I want to find out whether or not the hollow is going to stick to the card in front of it. Because if it doesn't stick to the card in front of it and it has a chance of getting a good high grade, these things are gold. Most likely it's going to stick though and be damaged. So we just have to see before I sell them.
What are the pull rates and like what's the chase card? Like what are you going for?
So in every booster box, I've opened 2 of these booster boxes, and in one of them I got 4 of the die cut cards, which is the cards with the like cut out edges on them, which are really cool and they're embossed and raised. And that so you get like 4 to 5 per booster box. Because in one I got 4 and I got 3 in another, so maybe less than that. And then the clear cards, I got 3 in one box and 5 in another. So like the clear Charizard, the clear Mewtwo, clear Bulbasaur, I think there's a clear Squirtle, there's a clear Pikachu flying. Those ones are like, I think you get 2 to 3 per box. That would be what my guess is. So,
and what are you in these packs for?
So about $15 each. So these are about $15 a pack. They go for about $20-$25. I'll be selling them, especially if these are nice. I'll be ripping them on my channel and selling them. If they're not nice, I'll still probably sell them with a disclaimer saying, hey, don't expect these to come out. If you keep them for your seal collection, if you open them, it might stick a little bit to the card in front of them. But I have to open at least one of them so I can see what the rest of the quality is going to be like. So that's what we're going to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Otherwise, because I'm a pack breaker, I like to sell things that I can get behind and, you know, I can at least test. And so I don't want to sell this without at least being able to see if it's a good quality product myself. So let's go ahead and see what's in here. Ooh, I see something good already. I see a Lapras.
Yo, and to all of Josh's potential future viewers or customers, this guy one time
they don't stick. They don't stick.
They don't stick.
They don't stick. It's gorgeous, and it's a Misty card. It's a Misty freaking waifu card. No stickage. Holy shit! It's getting sent right to CGC. Ooh, baby.
But disclaimer, Josh was in a Discord call with us one time. This dude opened Unseen Forces packs because he was afraid that they might have been resealed and he did not want to open them or sell them to somebody on his stream. So this dude opened like $200 mid-gen packs to make sure people were not getting screwed over. So just want everybody to know that this is a solid dude right here.
I like my reputation to stay pristine, and I feel like I have a decent enough reputation, so I try to do as much as I can. Man, I'm so excited about this. Oh, yo, what? Did you just get a ghost rare?
Ghost rare,
ghost rare on the ghost rare.
It's not the best ghost rare, but it's a ghost rare.
Go celebration! This is a good.
Oh my god.
Okay, Flex. Maybe you do need to open one of those. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Ooh,
dude,
maybe.
I don't know.
Like,
wow,
guacamole. Oh man.
Nice. Okay, yeah. Well then. Hello. Oh, mamma mia. Nice conditions here. Nice conditions for sure. We'll take it.
So what was the rest of what was in that pack? Anything good or just the Misty?
So you got like your usual, your cloisters, other like TV cards. I'm just sitting here thinking about the rest of these packs, these hollows. I might have to open these up myself, like a Meowth, Orange Islands kind of card. I might have to open these up myself here. That's pretty exciting, guys. Ooh,
You get a
boy.
hollow no matter what, or is
You
it
get a
like-
hollow in every pack. So yes, so
Okay.
7 cards
And how-
plus a hollow in series 2.
Does a booster box have a premium? Like, is it more expensive than 25 a pack if you buy a whole box?
Yeah,
Because
so
you're
those
guaranteed.
boxes go for roughly so I think there's in each booster box, there's 36 packs still, and they go for a little under 1,000. I think they're like 700 to 800, maybe a little more right now. And so buying
That's
the loose
not bad.
that's not terrible, but buying loose packs is always better for sure. But man,
Okay.
that's exciting. That's it. Super exciting.
And are they weighable?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to probably weigh all of mine and see what we get, because I haven't actually. The only ones that I've broken were actually live in a stream, and since we broke the boxes live, we weren't gonna sit there and weigh all of them. We just went through the whole box. So I haven't had the ability to really, and I just got these in today, so I am gonna probably for science see if they weigh differently. But I would guess that there probably isn't a lot of data on the weights, and I wonder if the heavier packs would be better or worse. So I would imagine that the chase packs probably would weigh something different than the normal ones, though. So I'm gonna have to test that for science after the stream for sure. But man, out of a first pack non-sticking, ooh boy, I'm excited about that. That's awesome.
That's heat. Yo, I have a CGC question actually, real quick. Do you guys know if they will grade this or like CSG or whatever? But it's this Tom Brady card, but I don't know if you can tell, but it's like super miscut. Do you see it?
Yeah,
Like,
like it's
literally,
like
Oh, it's like at an
Yeah.
angle. That's crazy.
yeah.
They don't do
I don't-
sports, or well, CSG does. I don't know what they do
Yeah.
with mirrors.
So
though.
would they like look at the back too? You can see how it's like super miscut, but it's like I don't know if it would fit or if they would make a custom size holder or something, or if they don't do that. 'Cause
I
it's
know.
like-
I saw some little like Instagram, TikTok-y short or whatever of somebody, and he sent a tag team like Venusaur Celebi into CGC, and they sent it back to him, and they wouldn't grade it because it was cut wrong, and it was like slightly bigger than like a normal CGC case, so they wouldn't grade it because it was too big for their cases.
Okay.
But I don't know. Like, you might have to reach out and be like, "Hey, I have this miscut Tom Brady card. Will you guys grade this?" You know, because
They would probably
Is that a-
respond because they want something like that. They want the market share. They
Yeah.
want the exposure. It seems like it would be good for them.
Okay, cool.
And is that a thing in sports? Like, are people into miscuts or?
Dude, they hate miscuts.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Dude, they think dude, because I have that Lyman dot Charizard, the first ed one, and I showed a sports card home and he's like, that's gross. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, the centering. And I was like, oh, okay. But it adds a premium, but I see you. You know what I mean? So sports card homies don't really like that stuff. They're not into it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Like there's this one too, it's like a LeBron Prism. Oh, Dark Magician Girl, please.
I know, it'd be so nice.
If you get Dark Magician Girl, I'll open one of the packs.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
Dude, I don't know where I put those packs. I'm actually kind of concerned. But it has to be somewhere at this desk.
Did you get them for a good deal? And did you like buy them in a lot, or you just buy them off eBay, or what?
I got them from my LCS. So they're a little bit like Warren, I guess, but I got them for a good price. Like for all three of them, I got in for like, what was it? I forgot what I told you, Josh.
I think you got them for like 60
something.
or 50 or 60 a pop when it came down to it, like for the Heart Gold, so which is really good because it's like closer to 100 its market.
I think I got them for like 200 total, like 2 to 210. You know what I mean?
Right, for like all of them. So it's like $50 or something a pop, or 60 or something each. So there's really it was a good upside for sure.
Yeah.
Like
no,
in
no.
those eras, it's so hard to weigh that I wouldn't expect that people would be able to weigh them, to be honest.
Dude, apparently it came from this old lady and she just pulled them out of her purse. Like it was just some random old lady and she said her kids used to collect them. And so she brought them in and it was like, all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she ain't resealing
Okay.
those.
So I mean, I don't think there's any issues. I didn't see the old lady obviously, but he's like, yeah, it was just like some old lady and she brought him in and she pulled him out of her purse and she had a bunch more like damaged old cards and then those packs. So yeah, it makes sense to me.
Man, Ghost Rare though, huh, Nick? That's crazy off of the first rip.
Yeah, it's not the best Ghost Rare in the world, but it's probably still like a $200 card. I'll have to look on.
That's crazy. So how rare are those? Like in your case, how many are you expecting?
I don't know. It's weird because like I thought you were guaranteed to a case because I want to say on Ghost from the Past 1, you were guaranteed one a case, or that was like the pull rate, I guess, was like one a case. And so then they said on Go, they actually there's 2 times as many ghost rares in Ghost from the Past 2 as there was in the first one. And they said that they were going to be like basically easier to pull, like twice as easy to pull. So I'm hoping for at least 2, but then I've heard people say that like some people have pulled like 4 out of a case. So I don't know, but to be honest, like if I pull a banger like Dark Magician Girl or Blue Eyes or something like that, I'm just gonna leave the rest of the boxes sealed and sell the boxes, and then hopefully like this is pretty off center, like it looks good, but it's pretty off center. So it's probably not gradable. I'll probably send that raw, but like if a Dark Magician Girl or a Blue Eyes even looks like it'll 9, I'll probably just express that to PSA.
So those aren't ghost rares, the Dark Magician or the Blue Eyes. You could just get those as
no, they are. So like basically like this entire set is kind of like ghost rare bust. All the other cards in the set are hollow. So like they add basically, I can't remember like the word for it, but it's like support for, you know, like all these other deck cards. And then they have certain cards that they've like upped to this like ultra rare rarity. So they're cards that like already exist, but now you can get them as like these hollows basically with like the gold lettering and like the hollow foil and stuff. But as far as like what's going to really be of value, it's the ghost rares for sure. So yeah, we'll see how I do. This is a lot of packs to open, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Are you excited about opening them, or do you view it as more of like a daunting task to search through?
I mean, it's always fun to open packs, but for me, yeah, it's just about the financial. Like I'm trying to, like I said, be like first to market, hopefully, or one of the first to market with like a good grade on one of the banger ghost rares. And but again, if not, like I'm in this case for like so cheap that like all I have to do is basically like sell these cards and I'm getting my money back with some profit anyways, even if like nothing's worth grading. And if I do hit one of the bangers, even if it's not worth grading, like it's still plus EV as of right now. So yeah, no, it's fun.
Have you done the first to market like move before, or is this like your first time doing it? You know what I mean?
I haven't. Yeah, this is my first time doing it, and part of it is because I've been kind of like working with my buddy. I might have him on the channel next week or something, but he runs like our local card store, and he's like mainly like a sports dude. He sells Pokemon and Magic and YuGiOh and stuff at his store. But he's not as like familiar with it. Like he's always just kind of been like a sports card guy and collector and stuff. So I've been like kind of teaching him and helping him with TCGs, CCGs. I might like set up his website for him and help him like get set up on eBay and just kind of, and I've been teaching him like how to use Instagram and hashtags and, you know, just all that kind of stuff to kind of get his shit a little bit more modern.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he's kind of been like reciprocating by like providing me with like access to distributor pricing on products. So that's kind of nice.
That's pretty dope.
So yeah, it's
That's a
kind
good
of a cool
connection to
little
have
payoff.
for sure. So I've
Yeah,
done the
for
first
sure.
to market thing with Champion's Path. I sold one of the shiny Charizard V's for $900 the Thursday before it came out, because my local Target, now I was still using distribution, but I would never sell through distribute like my sealed product until the actual day of release, because I value my distributor. Target doesn't give a shit about their product or their distributor, you know, relationships. They put it out like 3 days before, like the Wednesday before the set came out. I saw the double boxes at Target. I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm going to get a couple of these boxes to open up. I opened up a couple, like literally 2 double boxes. Just, I was at the store buying something. My girlfriend and I opened it up. We literally hit the Charizard V shiny. And I was like, holy crap, what's it going for? It's going for like $900 online. I wasn't the very first to market, but I was before the set came out. Sold it to some dude in Italy for $900. I put it up that night. I had an offer before I got up the next morning on it. And he tried to lowball for like, you know, 700, and I just offered I think $50 less. He accepted. Funny story, tried to scam me, Ended up,
Oh.
the whole big thing is international, my first ever international sale at the time, like on eBay. And so I'd never dealt with that. I was uncomfortable with it. He messaged me trying to get me to declare it as a gift and send it without insurance and all this stuff. I was like, no, sorry, buddy. If that's what it's like, we won't do the deal. We can either do it legit or not. And so he's like, okay, fine. And so I ended up getting insurance tracking. I declared it for what it was worth, said what it was, all of this stuff. And then when it finally got delivered, he tried to open up a case saying it didn't get, or it was not as described. But he didn't provide any like pictures or anything like that or anything of the sort, even though it probably would have been pretty easy for him to actually fib that. And I fought it with eBay. I provided the tracking number, all the, I actually took pictures of it as I was packing it because I was very uncomfortable and he was giving me some red flags. So I took a couple of pictures and I documented the whole thing, sent it all to eBay. 2 months later, they did freeze he did a chargeback. The money came out of my account and it basically became a frozen transaction, but I ended up getting the money back and the case was decided in my favor. After I just basically supplied the insurance and supplied the tracking number, gave the pictures, and was like, hey, this is what happened. The dude had a fake email. It was clearly a burner email, and clearly he was probably doing it to other people too. And the fact that he was trying to get me to do it like underhanded and like, all these red flags, it was very, eBay does side with the seller sometimes though. That is a narrative that you don't hear.
Yeah.
Like you are not protected as a seller. Like sometimes, you'll get screwed because they will side with the buyer 9 times out of 10. But more on high ticket items, especially if you've documented it, if you have some sort of like a trail that you can lead back, and if you are legit and you're not scamming someone, they will probably have your back. Like if you're scamming someone and you're used to scamming someone and you're just not this one time and like you're scamming people 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get caught. They won't have your back. But if you're a legit seller and like you have a good record, you have good like 100% feedback, and it's not something that happens every day, they're gonna have your back. So I think that's a narrative that you don't hear enough, is that like eBay's evil. It's like, you pay the 15%, whatever it is, for that protection. You're paying them for that exact service. So don't be afraid.
The exposure and man, eBay's been pretty good with me. Like I've been on eBay since like 2015, 2016. I used to flip like clothes and shoes and stuff like that too. But recently, like I've never in my entire eBay history ever gotten negative feedback. And like recently this dude basically like tried to like scam me and like left bad feedback and all this stuff. And I had like all the messages because it all took place on eBay. And so I just like hit eBay up and I was like, yo, this dude is nuts. Like he's super aggressive. He's like making all these weird threats in the messages and stuff. And they like instantly, like the day after I hit them up, they were like, yeah, like we read the messages. Sorry this happened. Like this guy's out of here. And then they removed the feedback and reset my feedback percentage. So that was super cool because everybody knows how important it is to have high feedback percentage on any selling platform. So it's, and on a buyer side too, if a seller makes an error, like if they send me the wrong card, because I know how important it is to have that feedback, I don't default to negative feedback. I'll hit the seller up and be like, hey man, like I don't know if you send me the wrong card or whatever. And I always give them the chance to make it right first, because I'm not trying to ruin somebody else's business either. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like people out there, like if you've ever had like a bad experience, consider giving people the benefit of the doubt before you immediately go to negative feedback. Give people a chance to make it right, because mistakes do happen. It's not always a scam situation. So
yeah. And with that, I think it's a relatively positive place to end it. I think it's a good time to probably call it a night here. I think we've had some good talks. And I think that there's going to be more in the future. But unless you guys have some last minute thoughts, I think it's a pretty good time here. Well, like and subscribe, right?
Like
we
and
need to say that
subscribe
more.
always.
That's something I always
like
do. So if you made it this far, you're a real one for sure. If you're listening, thank you. You right there, we appreciate you. Hit that like and subscribe. If you made it this far, you already are though. So we appreciate you though. But yeah, we'll be back another 2 weeks. We'll have another episode for you with the old spicy boys talking here. We're gonna probably this week, I've had a weird couple of weeks. I'm feeling a little bearish. I haven't been interacting with Pokemon. I haven't streamed very much this week. So honestly, I haven't been as interactive with the hobby. I'm sure in the next 2 weeks, because I know what I've got behind me of this new set coming out, I'm gonna have a lot to say. So definitely excited about the next episode here, guys. But as always, it's been nice chatting. Hopefully you guys are doing well and have a good rest of your night. But if you are viewing, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.